modifying them in specific ways they tell you not to. It just happens to be that the specific ways they tell you not to modify the power tools are pretty milquetoast. They're not all that exciting. They basically don't want you to do any modifications, so they're off the hook about literally everything about the functionality of the device. I have been trying to source a frame for this, because I figure if I'm getting the 4040 aluminum extrusion, that's 40 millimeters by 40 millimeters, and I'm building most of it out of like 4080, which is 2 sections high and 1 section wide, it's going to be cheaper if I get it as an entire kit. But I found a source, and it was Alibaba, not AliExpress. It was Alibaba, and let me tell you something about what's going on. Where is that section? If you see my stream project section, it's pretty much me. It's like a blog of me working on projects, and then people will occasionally weigh in on what stuff I'm doing and if I'm doing the right thing or the wrong thing. Open link. There we go. So the oh boy, the sourcing of a sim frame. I found them, and I contacted the place, and their basic one was $160, and it had all the extrusions I possibly could ever want in order to make, in order to make this thing happen. And then I went to order it, even though it was $85 in shipping. That's pretty crazy, but they're big rails. Technically, it's aluminum. And so technically it applies to some of the real stinking tariffs that we got going on, the real shitty ones, for some reason. So the import charges were 50% of 245 or 60% of 245, which put it to 161.92. Keep in mind, they quoted shipping as being $75. They said only $75 is shipping. And here it is at $85 for some reason. Marked down, I can't afford not to do it, right? Because it's been marked down from $105, I saved $20. So I'm not gonna pay $437.66, even though technically Alibaba, not AliExpress, tells me that I could get I could get money back from that, which probably means they'll give me $20 back, and the rest of it is like a brokerage fee for whoever negotiates what they're paying for tariffs through the shipper. That's probably what that charge is. I'm not really sure. The way tariffs are supposed to work, and of course they don't, is that the shipper is the one that's going to put me on the hook for paying those additional fees. And technically it's supposed to be the seller that pays all those fees, and they're not supposed to burden me at all. They're just raise the price of their product. But of course, in practice, it does not work that way. And I can see that it is exactly the same price as buying one of those domestic simulator frames at $437. I think for around $200 to $300, I can just get the beams, and I can order knockoff brackets on Amazon, and we can bolt the whole thing together. I think that's the way that it's probably going to end up working. The obnoxiousness is mounting of being able to do that. But I need that frame, right? I need that frame because nothing I have is heavy duty enough for the size of the chair, for the size of the wheel. I don't have anything long enough for that either. I have a lot of miscellaneous odds and ends on the frame rail stuff. So I think what I can do is just do the base outline and the 2 posts that'll hold up the wheel, and then everything else we're doing like custom with stuff that I have lying around, which is going to be obnoxious in terms of adapting one frame system to another, because the 4040s are metric. The 8020 stuff I have is English. They're 1 inch by 2 inch, right? So yeah, just annoying. I really here's the link. Hold on. Here's the actual one that I wanted to order. It's the only one that goes for 160 at the seller. They gave me the catalog, and all the other ones were like $200 to $300, right? You get more rails of this one though. I mean, that might be worth the $40 to get this entire frame for a monitor to go on the thing. But I figure that I can scrap it together. I've got like a monitor arm that I can tighten up and actually make it into a posable monitor, so you can move it around a little bit, maybe. And then the monitor will more easily unclip for the rest of the system. So maybe I can hack it up a little bit and not have it take up an obnoxious amount of space, it's probably just going to take up an obnoxious amount of space. It's probably just going to be the fate of this whole project. But yeah, that's what I've been dealing with. Like $160, cool. Let me go ahead and order that. What? Huh? What just happened? Oh, foreign policy just happened, huh? Oh shit, this didn't end up with all right, we got to do a little cleanup. Hold on. Let's get, I reorganized all of those threaded inserts. I reorganized all the threaded inserts. Well, not precisely. I organized all the larger of the threaded inserts. I did not organize the small ones. This kit was only $40. There we go. So that everything's complete. On the smaller ones, I just toss them all in the bin because when I'm using the threaded inserts, I will check the size regardless of whether or not they are organized. Because it would be incredibly stupid to just use whatever. Am I well audible above the music? Is that happening right now? I gotta re-aim the fan and open the window. It is like, I'm steaming hot right now. It's ridiculous. I guess the lights are contributing to my overheating situation. That's probably likely true. I'm a scientist. That is true. I saw in the catalog of simulator stuff that they have, there were these ducted fans that they use in order to create air current, so you feel like you're in a car. It's so silly. I do have a racing helmet that well, it's a motorcycle helmet that I could put on when using this thing. That'd be pretty funny, actually. And then I could build a frame around it so that I can simulate a sunroof so that my tall friends don't fit in the simulator. That would be the best. That would be the realization of my full vision, is to tell my friends, hey, come on over, man. I finished my simulator. It's pretty awesome. You got to play Assetto Corsa on it. We'll do some rally tracks. And they come over and they try to sit in this thing and they go, Jess, I don't fit in this thing because I'm too tall. And then I can laugh and laugh and laugh because they don't fit in real cars. my car buddies, the BMW buddies, don't fit in real cars. They have to buy cars that are built for tall people because they are all disgustingly tall. Everybody I know is so much taller than me, and I have these conversations with them where I have to like lean back in order to talk and look them in the eye. Oh crap, that's in the bad space, bad space, bad space. There you go. Sorry, I'm trying to put stuff away. I gotta put stuff away. Things are getting a little out of hand. I can barely hear this music over my speakers. I mean, the monitors should be pretty low because I don't want them to get into my microphone, but these go back, this goes back. Got all this stuff. All this stuff. Man, we spent all that time drilling and riveting and doing all that stuff to put feet on the seat. And while it was kind of worth it, because now I can get measurements, I can figure out what exact dimensions I need to get out of this simulator frame. That took a lot of time. It took a lot of time and effort, and we didn't really get a whole ton out of it. We got enough stuff, but not a ton. Ah! And we just have kind of a temporary solution for me not scratching my floors. We'll get back to it though. What I'm gonna do is, it turns out, oh yeah, JLC has an industrial operation. And the JLC industrial operation also has completely obnoxious shipping. The shipping is way too expensive there as well. So it's not a solution, unfortunately. So JLC has, if you're not an American, you can go to JLC and you can get, for pennies on the dollar, frame rails. I could, if I was in like Germany, I could build this simulator for like nothing. The only problem was JLC's shipping was exponential. It would increase by the total amount of shipping just one of the rails every time I would add the rail. So it would be like, you know, there should be a bit of a discount if you're shipping two of the same rail because they'll just strap them to each other and send them. But that wasn't the case. It put $85 onto the shipping every time I added a singular $5 2040 rail. So these 2040 rails are just going to be expensive. sorry, 4080 rails are just going to be expensive. They're just going to be expensive. It's going to be about 30, probably almost, no, it was like $30 a rail. That's as cheap as I could get it, and that's McMaster Carr. Somehow McMaster Carr was the cheapest place. I'll have to check some of the other big industrial suppliers, but any of the place like Frameworks and some of the other places that have these T-slot rails that are like local places or semi-local places, even if they're still on the East Coast, it's ridiculously expensive. And I think McMaster would have the best shipping. They would definitely be the fastest. All right, let's try to re-piece this thing back together. I want to get the dog collar project to be all in one nice place because I'll have to do a test on it again to see if it actually works, because it seems like there may be other things that I need to shut down when I shut down the radio in order to preserve the functionality of the rest of the system. And so I'm going to have to program in, well, I'm just going to have to test it. I'm going to have to test it and get to the bottom of what's going on. And then maybe I can piece it back together and do some actual function testing. I am not going to get this anywhere near my dog until I'm sure that it works. Because if any part of it doesn't work, it has the potential to catastrophically fail because it's got a lithium-ion battery in it, right? So the last thing that I want to do is risk lighting my dog aflame, because that would be very uncool of me to do. These are stainless steel screws, and they're not, well, some of them are sticking to the little magnet hanger. Huh. They're not totally pure stainless steel, so I guess they're a little bit ferromagnetic. Let's just put that there, preserve our pile of electronics back here. My keyboard broke again. I need to resolder the screen. It's just the screen that broke, and I can get the screen back on by, what is it? Redoing the little plug for the I2C screen. I just need to redo it. What I need to do is I need to take apart 2 female headers and glue them together so that the pins at the bottom are covered by plastic, and I'll make little notches for the wires that go in. And I think that'll be the best way to do it, because then it'll make like a little plug that'll have a little bit of strain relief on the solid core wires. Some of this stuff needs to go back into a parts bin that I don't want to get right now. Actually, wait, it's right there. It's right over here. My God, how did that happen? How's everybody doing? It's Tuesday. Nobody's around. All the bots are gone. A lot of botting going on Twitch. I wish they would do like a big crackdown, but I guess they kind of did like a weenie crackdown. The weenie crackdown did enough. Like crackdown on weenies. Big hardware bin. I've also got a bin for the rail stuff. So yeah, McMaster Carr, I think, is going to end up getting my business. I don't know if I should try to list my streamer boy credentials. I don't know if that's a thing that they'll be like, oh, he's a streamer. Give him money. Just give him money out of nowhere. He's a streamer. Careful, he's a streamer. Oh no, have I lost? I think I lost the fastener that went on this thing. I think I lost it. There's a little one screw that goes into the plastic box in the dog leash, and it holds it in place. Oh, is this it? It is. Okay, cool. We still have the screw. I'm gonna like screw it into the breadboard or something. I actually don't know if that's the screw. That might not be the right one. It's just gotten so crazy around here. It kind of looks like it is though. It's got like a captured washer on it. Man, I remember this song. This song used to come on whatever the hell I was using. It wasn't Spotify. I've never used Spotify, but it was on whatever music streaming thing that I had all the millennial music on. All the millennial tracks. That's how I kept up with music culture for a little bit. All right, I'm just like kind of pairing stuff up and throwing them where they pseudo belong eventually, and hopefully we'll get this place back in shape. This battery, I've no use for these batteries anymore. It's no use. They're probably also dead. They've been sitting for like years. I need to do a big lithium battery disposal. That drawer always smells weird. It's all the outgassing of the lithium ion fumes. Oh yeah, and then we've got another Misc project coming up that we can do where I fix... I release a tiger into the crowd. No, where I fix, what you call it? My amplifier, the one that makes all the buzzing noises and shouldn't make all the buzzing noises. And if I had known better, I should probably actually email Shit Audio about it and say, hey, I'm a streamer and I just discovered that your headphone amp actually was the reason that I had to buy this $50 filter, because the ground tab hits the transformer according to this video. Can you guys help me out? I'm gonna pen that email up. I think that's a good email. I was gonna send an email to a local frame rail supplier. What is this crap? What? To a local frame rail supplier to see what the prices are like, but I have this very strong feeling that the local industrial supplier for me is not gonna give me a good deal on the rails. Maybe I should send that email before going with McMaster-Carr. There is plastic on both sides of this, but I don't know. I don't see a seam. This is like a CR2032. I don't want to bust open the battery and like bend it by trying to open this. Why would they package it like this? Why are you like this? Why are you packaging things like this? Energizer. Are there instructions on how to open it? Or are these the ones that taste bad? 3-in-1 child sealed. Secure and bitter coating. I didn't want secure and bitter coating. The new baby proof. Oh, geez. Are babies swallowing batteries a lot? Internal chemical burns. Jesus Christ. Can I get advice on how to open it, please? No, nothing. There's no advice on how to open it. Copyright 2024, huh? Hey, can we get like a... Maybe just a tutorial? Jeez. Alright, that goes in the battery drawer. And then I have to get a pair of scissors. I have to dissect the battery. Yeah, this is my first encounter with the super duper baby proofer. That sounds like something else. Okay, yeah. Oh, the battery drawer smells so bad. It's got that battery smell. The battery outgassing smell. Yeah, the precision... I need to find a second pair of these. These are like precision stainless steel scissors, and I've only ever found this pair from one of my old jobs. And I looked them up on Amazon, and I found scissors that looked exactly like these, except they were like 30% smaller. They were just in every dimension, just smaller. And so they actually like hurt my hands. These have the perfect finger hole size for precision scissoring. Also sounds like something. Anyway, yeah, I just can't find another pair. I'll have to do another like deep dive to try to get to it, try to figure it out. Now, where'd the rest of the device go? Oh, there it is. And then that goes in here, right? Then we find out that it is 76 degrees. Oh God, I'm dying in here. 76 degrees, can you believe it? Here's the door. And then this I just magnet up onto a shelf. So I'll do that after stream. We'll just magnet it right here for now. Okay, or not. Or not. Or not. That's not sticky enough. Not magnety enough. How's it going, everybody? Hope we have a good stream today. We have some stuff lined up. I have 2 miscellaneous things that I kind of want to play with. On my own time, I'm going to have to get to the dog collar to try to make it a little less crazy. Let me make room for my third light over here by moving this. Man, I am wide on camera, aren't I? I mean, I guess I'm just wide in general. I'm used to seeing myself from straight on. No angled shots at all. I'm a wide. That's probably why everybody has always told me I should play football. You should play football. And I'm like, nah, I like my teeth. I like them. Because all you would do with me in football is just throw me at the other team. That was loud. That's not a good place for it, but it's going to be the place. Actually, that is a terrible place for it. All right, let's move it further in. Further in, we'll put it under where the camera's looking. Running out of space in the shop somehow, he says with a full car seat sitting right over here. I hate that I went on this huge circular journey of suppliers of the fractional rails, sorry, the 4040 T-slot rails, and it led me all the way back to McMaster Car. They're the only good place to get like a specific price on them that doesn't completely bust my bank open. I tried all kinds of other stuff, but I just can't seem to find them cheap. All kinds of suppliers and stuff, just because shipping something like bulky. The other alternative is to just buy, and this is what I tried, just buy like the most basic frame. A lot of the basic frames come with seats. They come with seats already, and I obviously don't need that. And then the needs of the basic frame are not exactly what I'm looking for. So, and I've got a lot of spare rail parts that I can, throw at the project. Obviously, I could take apart the brewing table that's sitting behind me, but I'm not going to do that. I need that table. So it turns out going to McMaster is the best way to do it. Going directly to like 80/20 is maybe also an option. I'm not sure what their shipping is like these days. If 80/20 is still around. Open Builds was what I was going to use because they have the best shipping because they were in New Jersey. But they moved to Las Vegas and then died. On their website, all the stock's gone. And I searched on Reddit and I found a thread where they said, yeah, they died because of the pandemic. It's like, fuck. Like, that was my good supplier of rails. I guess people were saying they didn't really innovate very much, and I don't know nothing about that. All the CNC stuff that's going on around town. But yeah, so the best place for me, I found an Alibaba seller, and the Alibaba seller had a little bit of an import charge on their most basic frame for $160. I thought I could make off like a bandit, even if the shipping was $85 from China. $160 is not bad for all of this that you see up here. Now, keep in mind, this image is from their PDF, where they have very fuzzy images. You would think they could do a very quick and dirty render of the whole thing and just put a vector drawing on there so that you can zoom in on it. But basically, it has that angled piece for the pedals that I would invert because our pedals mount from above, and then I'd have to make a little island for the gas pedal, which is easy to do. I can definitely do that with the parts that I already have. It has one shelf to the right where you can put a shifter and stuff. I would obviously probably need to lower that depending on where the seat's able to adjust to. The mount for the steering wheel would also potentially be altered because I have parts coming in the mail to make the steering wheel adjustable and electric. It should be really funny to do that. So I'll have an adjustable steering wheel, I'll have an adjustable seat, and then we can pepper the whole thing with controls, make two shelves for stuff, and one of the shelves, I don't know, should probably like be able to pivot away so that I can get in. Make it like a car door. I don't know. And then we'd have to do stuff for the e-brake and shifter and get everything in the right place. And then we could think about doing flight controls. There's a lot of stuff to do. But yeah, mounting the seat would be pretty easy because there's just this rail here and then two cross beams. So I am going to need to order 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, although 4 and 5 maybe are going to be larger than 600. 600 millimeters is about the width of the chair with a little bit of breathing room. And then 2, probably 1300 millimeter. I want to do 15, but 15 gets really expensive. I think it would probably be 5 foot or 4 foot, and I can't decide which one. And then order extra 600 millimeters to do maybe like a piece of shelf or something like that. Or I just figure out the shelves using parts that I already have. That's probably the way to go. You can cut these with a circular saw, and I've got a metal bit in my circular saw right now. Makes a big mess, puts chips absolutely fucking everywhere, but you can still cut them. So I could still make all these frames. There was a place that had already configured like shelves and chairs and tables, and it's like, who's going out there and buying a $2,000 table? That's crazy. And I guess industrial places afford that, but their prices for a table, which is 4 legs and 4 beams at the top, not even the 20, not even the 80s, like the one channel, one section, 40 millimeter beam, in a square, and then 4 legs, and then they've got folding brackets so the legs fold in, and then there's like 1 crossbeam on each. That was like $800 and something. So yeah, the price of aluminum fractional rails is like, I'm in the wrong business. Yeah, I know, seriously. You should be loading up like a little dinghy with an outboard motor with aluminum rails, and then like driving them from China to the US, because yeah, things are expensive. This place was pretty reasonable. And then JLC has an industrial outfit, right? JLC is an industrial outfit, and they were charging like $5 a beam. It's like $5 to $10 for the big beams that I need in order to make the the frame for this thing. And the shipping ended up being $400 for what I needed, what? Why is the shipping so expensive? What was going on there? I know the things are unwieldy, but it's like you wrap them all together and you ship them together. It shouldn't be several $100s in shipping. What's up, Wayne Johnson? It shouldn't be several $100s in shipping. That's crazy. That's crazy. I need this window to be over here. Hold on, I'm grabbing stuff and moving it. We're listening to My Definition of Chill. That's only available on YouTube live. Only available on Twitch live, because otherwise it's being pulled out of the broadcast in order to keep me free from copywriting stuff. I know there's services that host the videos that some other streamers use that put the audio back in, but I don't have that. We do not have that here. I think I've got on the recordings, I've got both audios, but I've been using YouTube to store the recordings, and so there's no need for me to go in and edit anything, which is nice because I'm too picky about editing, and I will waste all of my time. So yeah, $160 is great if you're an international customer looking to buy the slot rail sim frame. But if you're an American, there's an import fee that doubles the cost. $437. I think I'll be able to get away with like $300 at McMaster-Carr. I'm not sure what the shipping is going to be for a couple beams of that size, because it's sort of like a specialty thing. It's like a weird size. And then maybe I'll have to look at what 80/20's pricing is too, because they're domestic. Open Builds was my source, but they shut down, unbeknownst to me. So yeah, that research has taken longer than I thought. That's why we're doing a miscellaneous stream today, so that I can tinker around with some stuff and see how things are supposed to work, and maybe I can feel smart and functional, because all I've been doing is pricing out the frames that are going to go under the seat. And at the same time, all the seat parts that I bought, I only got one of the packages. The other two said, oh, it'll be delivered today at the latest. And then there's like no news of it because it's all FedEx and it's all eBay, and we had a big snowstorm. So that stuff got delayed, but I will stream on. I've been missing too many days lately. I need to do, the Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Monday, Thursday, Friday that I promise, because that's the minimum amount of time to stream in order to make partner. They can't unmake me partner, so I don't have to stick to any schedule now, and I could just stop streaming for a month. I don't want to do that to you guys and to my numbers. I've been barely maintaining, so I need to step up. What's going on with this? Is this running? Yeah, it is. Okay, YouTube is running. All right, here we go. I got a couple people watching. Oh, well, start YouTube chat. Yeah. Hold on. Go to this and auto find and activate. Beep, boop, beep. Bonk. Cool. And nobody said anything previous? Yeah, nobody said anything previous because I have one viewer. I don't know what it takes to like make it in YouTube streaming. I've seen some very popular YouTube streams. Maybe I need to watch a couple more and see how they do, because I do like Twitch do, and I guess it's not that popular. I don't know how they do it, man. I guess just showing up is not enough. Money gun. Probably gonna remove the little blocker. I don't know what the blocker's there for. Probably just to keep you from losing dollar bills like that. Probably no point in having it in there. This little guy. But we're gonna ungun this. We're gonna cut this part off, and then I want to put a tripod mount on it so that I can mount it somewhere around the face cam, so that if somebody donates a bunch of money, we can make this thing flip OBS to the face cam and start spouting money at me for just a little bit. And I'm like, Jesus Christ. I think that'll be funny. And you guys have wanted a way to physically assault me on stream, so that'll be a good one. We'll do some exploratory surgery on this. It's very simple, too. I should set up something to capture. Well, we'll do that at the time. You know, I'll set up something to capture donations on Node-RED, and then somebody will probably end up donating money, and we'll be able to get that packet and then pull out the information with the packet, and then we'll set up Node-RED so that it sees that. I bet they'll get views just doing vacuum cleaning and crawl space garage loft like I did 2 minutes ago. That would probably make a lot of money. Yeah, I wonder. As a regular YouTube video, maybe, you know, that would catch on a lot better, but as a live stream YouTube video, that would probably do okay. It's that kind of like home improvement thing that even I am subbed to some DIY creators. I know Red Letter Media just put out a whole video on AI YouTube content, which is crazy. I don't browse YouTube like that. I don't know. Maybe everybody else just allows YouTube to do recommendations to them. I guess that's one way to live your life. I only subscribe to channels that I like the content that they put out. And even some of them, I won't watch their videos very often because I don't want to be influenced by them too much. But there's just very select, you know, creators that I subscribe to, and I only watch my subscriptions, and then I don't give YouTube any information about my browsing. I don't think a lot of people browse YouTube like that. I think they just kind of go through and, you know, click the next video till they find something that's fascinating, I guess. And so that opens you up to a whole world of AI content where people are just, I don't know, they're just sensationalizing things in order to get eyes on content, which is really cynical and terrible, and I don't like it. This ain't the Star Trek we signed up for, huh? Oh, this thing does have control, huh? See, I'm wondering what this thing is doing with 3 pins. 3 very chunky pins. But it can't get the 3 pins on my back. I need to get a battery. Hold on, let me get a battery. I need to get a battery. We had our attic redone when we had a rat in the house. There was apparently a dumpster got dropped off across the street, and we turned out to be the most attractive house for a rat to set up shop. And I don't mean like 1940s gangster. He's a rat. I mean like an actual like rodent. And it was devastating because the first thing it did, supposedly, and I don't know if I believe this, is it went straight up to the attic where it made sort of a nest for itself in the warm attic. I heard it going horizontally across the house, which involves this shop. It went across and it dug out a dryer vent in order to make a sort of an egress across this house. So it probably came down, went into the dryer vent, went across here, and then ended up in the garage. And that, I think, was its entire run. But the guys were adamant about it getting up to the attic. And so what they did is they got rid of all the insulation in the attic, sprayed down some deterrent chemicals, because apparently when a rat makes a nest somewhere, it's putting out scents and chemicals that are attractive to other rats, and we didn't want that. So they spray the whole thing, get the whole thing done again, and then they take several $1,000s of your money and they're gone in a day. So we had all that done. I don't think I believe him about the rat going straight up to the attic. I think they just wanted to redo the attic. It's fine. We had to redo the insulation eventually anyway. So now our attic is like super well insulated, I guess, hopefully. But yeah, that was a whole thing. It was devastating. But if they had like webcams on, if they put like a GoPro on or like one of those portable streaming things, I wonder if they could make a bit of money on the side. That and the roofers around here. There's this one particular roofing company that everybody loves using because they will redo an entire roof on one of these units in a day. And they're amazing. It's a whole group of people that show up and they just and they're done. Like, it's awesome. It was really cool to see throughout the day. I had to stream that day, but throughout the day I was just like, all the people and the hammers and the equipment and the dumpster and all that stuff, and they just They just rocked it. It was crazy. If those guys stream, they do really well too. This motor is held in by 2 washers. I expected this thing to be cheap, but I did not expect it to be on this level. It's just 2 washers holding a motor into a motor-shaped compartment. Wow. And then this is just a cog wheel. That doesn't look particularly grippy to money at all. But I guess it just runs at full tilt. Been slowly working on emptying the loft from the previous owner. Next time I get energy, yeah, that's the hard one. I will lay some deck board for easier crawling. Gonna be nice to store awkward shaped objects there and not taking space on the garage floor. Yeah, be careful with the loft space, because remember, we just recently had a story where my brother fell through the wall. He fell through the ceiling because he put his foot in the wrong place in a crawl space. And he ended up tumbling in. I think there was a chair there or something that he landed on, and then fell to his side and bashed his shoulder against the wall, which he'll probably feel in a couple of years. But yeah, crawl spaces are pretty dangerous. So when you put those boards down, just make sure they're good. You're not technically supposed to store anything in your attic. It don't work. It's supposed to work. It's 20 volt max, but I guess 20 volt max plus is different from 20 volt XR. We're gonna make them not so different, you and I. Good quality, even pressure treated. Okay, that should be fine. Yeah, apparently, technically, you're not supposed to store anything in the attic because there should be, at least in a traditional American suburban home, is what I'm referencing. There's supposed to be air currents that keep icicles from forming. There's a whole ancient Red Letter Media video on this, one of the better ones. A whole best of the worst video from 20 years ago. Back when we were speaking a different language. The internet was totally different from what it is today. The latest Red Letter Media video, I don't fully agree with them on AI, and I think they need to realize that the frame of the context that they have is very similar to the discussion about computers from the previous generations. And I've heard similar discussion around, like, we can't let the computers take over. And the same, like, drawing to final conclusions that you would in, like, the plot of a sci-fi movie. It's not the same as the way that we incorporate technology into sort of our collective. Taking AI all the way to fruition and saying, this is going to destroy this, and we won't have any jobs, and everybody's going to die of hunger. Like, little too sci-fi. We're not going to end up like Star Trek, where we have got, like, oh, master computer will set you up here, and it rules our society. That's not gonna happen. But you know, it's gonna get in. The cat's out of the bag. We're not undoing that, right? I just hope we can contextualize some of its uses, because so far a lot of the stuff that I see AI doing is replacing creativity, and it's very obvious that it is not. The people who are using it to replace creativity are not creative. And it's not really working. It doesn't work. That Coke commercial's creepy and weird, where the truck changes configurations every single shot, and everything is a little bit too, like, dream era of AI. Concerning. It's concerning how eager some of these operations are to just throw AI at something and say, this is definitely what AI was meant to do, when the AIs they're throwing at it were meant to, like, carry a conversation, not do advanced financing or direct the direction of an entire industry. You know, that stuff, people are like, ooh, AI. It's meant to hold a conversation with you. Especially Google using AI, and it's routinely just wrong about things. Like, if you know about a thing and you Google a thing about a thing, you know, it'll pull up an AI result, and it's just not right. It's just not correct. And it's going off of a Reddit thread from 12 years ago where somebody asked if something was okay, and then AI is saying, yes, it's okay. And you're like, that's dangerous. And Google's response is just, it'll get better. Because that's how they treat AI. That's what Google does, is, you know, especially with like YouTube moderation and stuff like that. They say, well, I know your video that was instructive was flagged for being, you know, kid content or something. And then it was pulled off of the internet, and we won't put it back on or monetize it. And all the momentum that you've built is gone, and you'll never get enough money to run your operation to make more content like this. But it'll get better. We definitely reviewed it by human. And they just don't. They're just not reviewing it with a human, and then they just don't do anything because they say it'll get better at its job. What's up, NeandoCat? How you doing? That's how a lot of like the Google Gemini is being treated right now. Is that, yeah, but it'll get better if it gets more information. The there's the actual boop. NeandoCat has subscribed with Prime for 24 months. Thank you so much for the sub. Really appreciate that. That goes a ways towards allowing me to do stupid stuff like try to source the frame rails for this sim setup, which is not going well. I think I have to order from McMaster-Carr. That's where we've come to. Full circle, where you go, McMaster-Carr is a little bit expensive. Excuse me. I had a meatloaf sandwich for lunch. There will be repercussions for that. But like, used to see McMaster-Carr as like, yeah, they're expensive, but they've got good shipping. But now, because of tariffs, that's the wrong one. Because of tariffs, I'm faced with things like this, where the $160 basic frame that would have had all the stuff that I wanted is $245 with shipping. Okay, I could take that. That would be fine. $245 with shipping. That's not that bad. It's still everything that I would need, right? It's all this. It's all this right here. Right? And I could definitely make, you know, modify some stuff here. I wouldn't make it in the same configuration, but that would have everything that I would need to mount the seat and the wheel, and then some. $160. What a good price. $85 shipping. That kind of sucks. $245. Okay, I can take that. Import charges 60% of $245, $161.92. Sales tax of $30. Payment processing fee, a mysterious $4. 437, so like doubles the price that I was willing to. Ridiculous. Can you make it out of square tubing and drill several streams making them? I mean, yeah, I could do it out of like wood. I could just buy 2x4s and make it out of that. I'd be fine making it out of 2x4s. But when all's said and done, I don't want to have a bunch of manky wood that I've spilled soda on. I would rather have aluminum frame rails that I can like clean off and put into another project. Because I'm always doing this kind of crazy stuff, right? And I'm always adding and reconfiguring and doing weird stuff. And so that's what I like the 80-20 and the 40-40 rails for. The 40-40, the 20-20, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I like doing that because that project is not forever. And there are two fractional frame rail projects, the former steering wheel and the joystick, that are now going to get rolled into my spare rail parts. So that's just the life cycle around here. And so that's why I like doing stuff with this. I wish I was one of these people that like worked at a factory or worked at one of these rail operations where they've got access to the dings and dents, because sometimes something will scratch the rail and they'll go, all right, put that in the other pile. And then the employees will like take them home or be able to buy them for fractions of the cost. Almost no sleep for 2 days. Why are you here? Go sleep. Or you're probably at work, but still, sleep is really important. I've been trying to get more sleep and I've been failing at it, but I've been trying, because I think getting a lot of sleep is going to help me get my weight down and everything. It's so important. Really, it is. I had a friend, a close friend-ish friend. No, he's pretty close. I lived with him. I lived with him and I didn't hate him after living with him, because so that's a big endorsement. God, he works in an office now. It's so weird. Anyway, he once spent, I think, I don't remember what the maximum that you can stay up is. It was probably 2 or 3 days of literally just not sleeping, because he was a gamer, and I don't know, he's just crazy like that. And so I go to visit him in his dorm just before he's going to actually try to fall asleep. And I talked to him for a little bit. He's, dude, I'm too out of it, man. I haven't slept. I'm like, all right, man, I'll see you later. I'm gonna go, do homework or something then. And so as I'm walking away, he's looking at the carpet pattern and he sees like huge cracks forming in the carpet pattern and like the floor falling away. And he tells me about this and I'm like, dude, you need to go to sleep. This is getting dangerous. Like, oh my God, he probably lost so many brain cells in doing that. Yeah, so the search for Rails pulled me full circle. You look at McMaster Car and you go, oh, haha, funny price. JLC PCB sells them for JLC MC, which is the JLC PCBs doing like they're having a stab at being an industrial supplier. And they have Rails. And they're like $5. They're like, whoa, they are doing direct China sourcing and they are taking only a little tiny bit off of the top. You love to see it. You love to see it in the global village so that you can save tons and tons of money. And then I go to order it. And every time you add one of those Rails to the shopping cart, it adds an additional $85 in shipping for each Rail. I don't think they're individually packaging these things. I sure as hell hope not, but it's adding like an inordinate amount of money to the total. And I think that's aluminum import issues. So having access to a bunch of 40/40 and 50/50 millimeter scrap, I've taken some home, but also it helps. I've got a welder at work and at home. Yeah. For me, I don't have access to that sort of thing, and it's hard to find it on Craigslist, and people don't know what it is. Sometimes there's like entire tubes on Craigslist, but you have to drive to New Jersey to get it. So I guess I'm kind of stuck just paying. It's not terrible. 30 bucks a tube when I need two $30 ones, and then six $20 ones or something. It's gonna be more expensive than I like. It's probably gonna be around 200-ish something. I don't know what the shipping's gonna be, but it'll be domestic shipping. And then McMaster has great shipping, so they probably will give me a bunch of options on what I can choose, and I choose the one that meets my patience in the middle. And then I'll be able to get all the frames, and then I'll also be able to buy all the bracketry from Amazon, because Amazon has all the knockoff bracketry, the stuff that's not like the 80/20 stuff. The 80/20 stuff is great, but it's like $5 a bracket because it's this big chunk of aluminum. I've got some of them. They're great, but I can buy the knockoff stuff, and I think we can get away with it. And then we will have a frame that this seat can sit on. I'm still waiting on the eBay parts for the seat. The snowstorm probably affected that. It's probably due to the snowstorm, but yeah, all of my shipping says it should get here today, and then it's like moving from UPS facility to UPS facility, a FedEx facility to FedEx facility. So I don't know where it is. I don't know what the status of it is. When those seat parts get here, then we've got a little bit of content that we can do trying to hack into the seat and see what the signals it's sending are. Because the seat will be able to put 12 volts into the computer, and then we can monitor the what's called, was it K-bus? Whichever the BMW specific bus system is, we can hit the button, capture the packet, take a look at what it's saying. I don't know how we can like turn on the heat and stuff. That's a CAN bus message that we're not going to be able to create. And then I don't know if the anti-theft system communicates with the seats at all, because they'll do this. They'll do stuff like this in these modern cars, is have some system, some security system where the car's security computer, because everything's a different computer, right? The security computer will go, hey, who's here? And everybody kind of checks in, and it sees if it's like security digits will match the codes that are programmed into it. I don't think the seats are that way though, because my brother stole, well, no, he took the computer from this seat and he swapped it to the other seat, so it would still communicate properly. You just have to recalibrate all the motors. I wonder then if it'll actually, I don't know. But if it's super baffling and it doesn't just work, if it just works, that's the best thing. That is the best thing, is if it just works, because then I don't have to touch anything. Although it would be fun at some point to implement seat memory. Who knows? It might just be down to buying the seat memory panel. More, or, giving you guys control of the seat is also something that I would very much like to implement. Harder if the thing just works. It's easier on us, but it's harder on me. Much easier if CAN bus prevents this computer from operating the seat, then I'm gonna desolder the microcontroller and throw it into the ocean, and then put my own on there that's just literally pulling all the same strings. So it'll just be able to, oh, I need to turn on the seat heat? Yeah, let's just pull that string. Let's activate that MOSFET over there, that one over there, monitor this, look at this Hall sensor. We can do all that in an Arduino like it's second nature, right? I could practically program that today and have a fully functioning system. So, and then if we program our own, that means that I can put MQTT into it, and I can make it just the node red node. It'll be the seat node. And then if you guys spend channel points during a racing stream, which we'll have, I hope this thing doesn't just sit and collect dust after all this work that I'm doing on it. Because I spent, how long did I spend on this? That thing? 2 years building it, I think. And I've used it like 4 times. Like 4 times. So we're going to make a concerted effort to make sure that this this more extensive sim rig gets some use. I'm going to play some games with it. Otherwise, I'm never to be trusted building a project ever again. Spending all the money. I mean, a lot of this stuff is windfall, but yeah. But so I can innately just have it function during a race stream, and you guys will be able to do things like turn on the seat heat for like a buttload of channel points. I'll have to do that because it can't be that often that you guys do this stuff, because otherwise Twitch will make it, it'll be constantly moving, you know? That's the idea anyway. I'm full of ideas. I'm full of ideas and light on execution, just because the research portion of sourcing the frame has been the worst. JLC is sitting there, you know, jingling its keys going $5 a rail. And I'm like, ooh. And then some of the other overseas industrial things are like, we might have reasonable pricing. And you add stuff to your cart and it's not reasonable. Alibaba, not AliExpress. Alibaba does this to me. They double up the charge. Spray bottle to the face. I am not doing chemical warfare. However, you may notice that I've got a money gun, money plane, that shoots dollar bills. I think that clip was influenced by me saying that my mother had a bunch of dollar bills and that made it sound like she's a stripper. I think that's what that was going for, but in reality, all these dollar bills are because she's done a bunch of social events around here, and they have, like, you know, open bars and stuff like that. And so they end up collecting a lot of dollar bills for like cups and things. So I don't want to give you guys the wrong impression, but I know Twitch will always go to the most obnoxious. This was modeled off of a 1911 or a 1911 toy, because it has a grip safety lever that's just a solid piece of plastic. I don't care if it's just water. I'm not going to change the water all that much. And I really just don't want to get water sprayed in my face. I'm never going to do that. I've already stated that I will never do that. I'm not going to spray myself with anything on stream. That's just, you guys got to live with that. Oh, yeah, no, beer would be, yeah, you're right. Let me do beer then. Do you even engage with your own ideas at all? No, I won't do water. Oh, beer? Yeah, of course I'll do beer. Get the hell out of here. Air cannons. I don't know how I do that. Because you've got to pull a bellow and let go of it. It would be something. Or I could, if I got another one of these are a little bit expensive because they use a really hardcore hobby motor and they've got a giant battery in it. But if I hook this up to some kind of a heavy power supply, I could at least do something like, hold on, there's a, no? Oh, I turned it off again. Something like that. I don't know. Some of the sim setups actually do have air blowers in them. servo on a stick. It would have to be, you'd have to do a 180 degree servo or sorry, a 360 degree servo. You'd have to either modify or buy a servo specifically that can go all the way around. And then when it fires, that doesn't work. Have to be like a linear slide with a catch and then like a solenoid on it, because you would move the linear slide down, it would click, and then you'd move it back. It can't be like a pulley system, because the pulley has to be able to fully disengage and allow the bellows to snap. So some kind of, and it wouldn't have to be a linear slide. It could be anything. It could be like anything that extends, can catch, and then can pull back. Just like a flat gear of some kind could probably do it. It would have to be in a little bit of a guide, but you'd need to be able to like detach it, and then it would be able to, the rubber bands would be able to do their job with thump. Wait. Beep, boop, beep, bop, bop. Very interesting. Actually, that's the right hand. There we go. Nope, then my hand's visible. Oh well. So much for special effects. Rubber bands and drawer slides. Maybe if you can make a drawer slide extend like that. String of rope on a pulley and some kind of release. How do you reset it? Not necessarily pulley, just some drum. You guys are so light on details that... I mean, I do have a linear bearing like right here. And those 12-volt linear bearings just go to their limit and then come back from the limit. Where'd that go? It's somewhere around here. One of the simple 12-volt... Here, hold on. Too complicated. Something like one of these. And I just put that on a rail. That's $60. Fuck that. Nope, 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 nope. $60? Are you kidding me? These are much less expensive, one of these kinds of things. Yeah, I've already got one. 30 is a little bit crazy. It goes 2 inches only. You could do 4 inches, it'd be $31, which is breaking the bank, to be fair. But move that out and then have something that snaps into something that holds onto the diaphragm, move it back, and then have that thing on the diaphragm able to either probably hold it there and then let go when there's a redemption. Because if you redeem points and the thing has to extend out, grab the thing, come all the way back, you could have it automatically let go, and then it would be a little bit of a clunky delay. So you'd want it to hold it back and then wait until somebody did a redemption and let go of it. And then it would throw the diaphragm, and your air kicker would throw a little poof of air in your face. Magnet could actually be a good way to do it, because when you have like a magnet grabber, what you have is you have a magnet and then an electromagnet, and the electromagnet energizes to cancel out the magnetic field of the other magnet. So you would have the thing go all the way down there, it would snap to the magnet, and then come all the way back, and that would mean your guides could be a little bit more nebulous. You could have if the piston didn't align exactly with where whatever the nub that you're supposed to grab and pull back on the air cannon is, those could be misaligned, and the magnets would like snap together and not necessarily need to be perfectly aligned. And so you'd pull it back under tension, and then it's still holding until you energize the magnet and it just lets go of the thing. As long as that magnet doesn't add too much inertia to the diaphragm. Yeah, or you could rely on something like a catapult release mechanism. I'm just saying, the alignment of the thing that you're trying to grab your little end with needs to be pretty good to get it properly. And I think a magnet's a brilliant idea. Because if you use like a servo that goes 360 to pull it backwards, then you have to move like I guess you would need something that can go out and capture it, and then you could pull it back under tension as long as there was a release. But then you need something to move it back, because you're not gonna, unless you have like a clutch on that thing that's loose enough that if you release that clutch, the drum can spin fast enough to not keep that diaphragm from flowing forward slowly. That's why I'm thinking you need something like a slide, and then the counter electromagnet is perfect for electronically throwing it. What they do in other systems like airsoft and stuff like that, like here, look, it's very similar to airsoft. Please don't answer, AI. Where's the animated one? That doesn't quite seem right. Is someone using air? I guess they do call it airsoft. I thought most of them were just a spring catch system that just kicks the thing back. Instead of using manually cocking the piston back, utilizes a motor instead of gears to pull piston back. AEG should have a battery stored, blah, 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 blah. A switch that can conduct current to the motor. Drive the gears, pull the piston backwards. Gears, okay, so it's a geared thing. The gear pulls it back, and then the smooth portion of the gear allows this thing to fly back forward. And so that's kind of what I'm thinking you would have on a system like that, where you would pull it backwards, and then instead of it springing forward, it would release, and then it would spring forward, because those air blasters rely on a diaphragm in order to create that poof of air. And I think later systems, none of the images are loading. It's great. I think some of the other systems literally just do the same thing, except that instead of having air, it just kicks it with a piece of plastic. It just fires up against that BB and throws it forward. But we don't have images of that. I guess they are using air. My God, look at that. Crazy. That's crazy. Oh my God, they've got it. Yeah, airsoft, those kids doing airsoft, man, they're crazy. They're crazy. They're very thorough. All right, close this. Close this. Anyway, that was just a little theory crafting on making an air puffer that could be obnoxious towards me during stream. I'm not going to do that kind of stuff. We'll figure some stuff to do, but like electrocute bother for 20 channel point. Like, no, I'm not doing that. You guys should be able to differentiate some of the stuff that I'm willing and unwilling to do. All right, let me pause the music. Music is gone. Start soon is gone. What are we working on today? Welcome to my stream, several people. It's like 4 viewers. Numbers are down. It's Tuesday. Everybody's gone back to work. We had a snorestorm. Snorestorm is more like my stream. We've had a snowstorm in the Northeast. I was trapped for a little bit of that, helping out. That was sort of some stuff that I had to do and had interrupted what was going to be a Saturday stream that would keep my momentum going on all my viewers. I need to concentrate on getting viewers back because we're not terribly popular lately. And a lot of my projects have been getting a little frustrating. So I've sort of backed away a little bit from projects. I've been doing other things, walking the dog quite a bit, coming back. We're fresh. I've got a couple little stupid things. One of them is an idea that, one of the stupid stream ideas that pops into my head where like, hey, somebody donates like $50. I want to actually like have some money fly out from behind anything. And you know, it would be like a surprise. Somebody donates and all of a sudden dollar bills are flying out of my computer monitor. Like, that's perfect. So I bought a money gun. And because my mother does a lot of these events with a bunch of little old ladies that have like open bars and stuff like that, she happened to have a money sleeve that was filled with real dollar bills. This is like $40, $30. I don't know. I haven't counted it, but it's a lot of $1 bills that will, I guess, now be dedicated to this specific money gun. So if somebody donates like a lot of money, we can have this thing mounted somewhere so that it starts spitting dollar bills at me. And eventually I'll have to play 52 pickup and reload it. But I'm just chilling, listening to your show while sorting out my Home Assistant Christmas lights. That's cool. I want to do that one day. We have a tree outside that I was hoping to get some of my LED strip on. I have LPD 8806, and if I put WLED on it, then maybe not using Home Assistant, I would want to use Node Red, but I'll be able to like instigate cool patterns on it, having it permanently plugged in, right? So it would be able to do some like really cool patterns on the tree that would be so slow that we wouldn't get in trouble with the HOA. So not allowed to have twinkling lights. If I have it change what the lights are doing over the course of hours, right, you can do Home Assistant or blah, 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 blah. I don't want to do it. I'm sure it's fine. I'm sure it's lovely, but whatever. Node Red works. I can just use Node Red. Anyway, have like long patterns on the Christmas lights. If you stop and look at the tree, you're like, that's changing color, but you won't notice it immediately. I saw somebody who had something like that on a tree today in, it was like a Reddit post, and they had it doing the typical RGB, the Corsair RGB patterns. And it's like, nah, that's not, I don't want that on the tree. I want to have like twinkling stuff that's like a slow twinkle. Anyway, it's cool stuff. Money gun is one of our projects. What I want to do is chop the gun off of the money gun, and then I want to put, it's going to have probably like a barrel plug in here. And then, what is that? Wait a minute. What is going on there? Oh, it's because it takes 3 batteries. It's like 4.5 volts instead of 3. But cut and then put like a plate, maybe just a plastic plate. And then I've got in the drawers down here, tripod sized mounts for like camera gear and custom gear like this. And maybe we could put this on some kind of a magic arm mount. And so I can hide it back there with the addition of a barrel plug to give it 4 or 5 volts. And then we can throw an ESP8266. There's plenty of room. I got the clear money gun, the one that they allow in prison. That's like prison electronics are clear, so you don't smuggle stuff in with it. But we can easily get an ESP in this. And if we're putting 5 volts into it, that's, you know, foregone conclusion. And then I've got little motor controller PCBs that we could just put on the little flinging motor. We'd get rid of the bar. I think the bar is just there so that you keep your money when you're running around the club with this thing. I think just so that it doesn't throw money out inadvertently. And then we'll see if it can actually throw the real dollar bills, or if I'm going to have to use the fake currency. Loses eye by a dollar bill. I have like a scar across my eye. Do you know what I did to earn this scar? But the one that I want to work on first is this thing. This is a finger sander that I bought that said, and it was nice and cheap, because the tools these days are cheap. It's the batteries that are expensive. This one said, when 20 volt max. That's not the DeWalt 20 volt XR. Doesn't work. Doesn't fit. Why doesn't it fit? You can see there's 3 tabs on this. This thing has multiple tabs, but they're blocked off. What's that about? Do I need to drill a slot in the tab? Why are there 3? I don't know. I want to get to the bottom of this, because this thing is, you know, the tools nowadays, what are they comprised of? Well, it's a control, some kind of like a rheostat or a motor controller to do speed, switch to turn it on and off that easily popped off, because when this thing starts skittering across the garage, you want to be able to just smack it and it'll stop functioning. Or when it's, you know, tearing apart your body, you want to be able to easily stop it, right? And then it has a motor. It's just a little angry, probably universal DC motor in this thing. It's probably a bit stronger than your typical universal DC motor. If this were a higher quality tool, it's not. It would probably have a 3-phase motor and some kind of an advanced motor controller. We might see a motor controller here, but I mean, the trigger is literally just a switch. This thing is on or off, and it's got the controller down here. Yeah, battery management. But what battery management does this thing need to do? It either runs or it doesn't, right? Get some files and start filing. Your 3D print adapter, most likely something for the DeWalt battery, is on Thingiverse. Oh, there's plenty. And I've also got, you can buy the battery mounts for the DeWalt batteries for these guys. You can buy just mounts for them because people will take their Hot Wheels, not Hot Wheels, the little truck that your kid gets to ride around in that's battery operated. It's one of those little tiny go-karts for your kids. They make DeWalt battery adapters for them. If you want to power a robot, these things are awesome. You just throw it into a thing. For the longest time, I've wanted to get one of those, the little kid cars that are like the yellow and red, and put like a 3D printed PP in it, power it with a couple of these things, make it go real slow, and then have on the A-pillar a phone. And this is actually, Moon was doing rally cars last night, and it mimicked the setup that I wanted for the stream, which was you're looking over PP's shoulder. He didn't quite have that. He had the, just the regular racing wheel, but then having the phone up somewhere. And I wanted to put the phone on like the A-pillar, and on the phone would be chat. And then you'd have one of those mobile streaming rigs, and you drive that little PP, car around like a convention and just bash into people's ankles with it. I think that would be awesome for like a TwitchCon. But I'm nowhere near making that, and I tried to source the little car, and it was way easier than I thought to source. My one friend who does the cheap, like the free cycle stuff, was able to source a blue one in less than a day, and I'm like, I'm not ready for this yet. Hold on. And then he was able to source a red one, and I'm like, I can't do this. I can't do this. Stop. I had to call him off. Call off your dogs. I don't need one immediately. Just because I don't know when the next TwitchCon is in like a year, but I certainly can't afford to go out there unless Twitch pays me to go. So I should probably figure out how to email somebody there and be like, hey, does it sound like something you'd want to fund? To have a little 3D printed PP driving like a toy car, a toddler car, and running into like Twitch royalties ankles. We could take out some of the bigger names at Twitch. Finally. So yeah, the extra tabs, what are they doing? Battery management. I guess this would be to access some form of less than super duper, because like on your typical like RC battery pack, right, you're gonna have a little plug that has multiple pins on it, and that's so that you can get in between the cells when they're charging. You have a cell, you have it hooked up to another cell and another cell, and like parallel or whatever, or series to make 20 volts, obviously. So you have them in series to make 20 volts. If you tap in the battery here and here, you'll get one battery, here and here you get another battery, and then you can manage the charge of your batteries so that the lowest common denominator is met, and your pack is balanced. It's very important to balance the pack in lithium ion sort of cells. That's why I would think this has multiple taps in it. But let's look up what, wait, there's labels on the pinout. Hold on a second. THID C1234B. So are we 4S, 20 volts? 4 is 8, 12, 16. Did they really just round up? They really just round up. 4S is 4.7 cells. 4 times 4 is 16. I don't think 7 and 7 is 14. I guess that's your 17, 18. You're going to get to like 19 something and they just round it up. Jeez. Okay, well, anyway, 20 volts max. And I guess, oh no, maybe they're using B plus and B minus too. So B plus to C1 would be 1 cell. That's probably what they're doing then. I don't know about ID and stuff though. TH and ID. But yeah, you get 1, 2, I don't know. That doesn't make sense. Anyway, okay, so let's just look up the DeWalt cell pinout and just see what the pins are. These are things that we already know. Oh yeah, by the way, on record, I'm trying to source a frame for the sim racing setup, and this is the cheapest one that I could find, unless I get rails with JLC MC. JLC MC has the rails for like pennies on the dollar, but the shipping is ridiculous, and the shipping is ridiculous from anything from China now, because these are technically aluminum, and so $85 shipping. They said $75 was going to be the shipping, but then Alibaba snuck $10 into it. And this is Alibaba, not AliExpress. You can get one unit from this supplier, right? And so I tried doing that, and then it hits me with this import charge, which is about 60% of the final subtotal, which I don't know if there's tariffs on shipping, but honestly, like, that's not supposed to be there. That's supposed to be handled by the shipping company. I guess they decided that I would pay it $161 and then 25 sales tax. It doubled the cost, quadrupled the cost of everything. Absolutely insane. So yeah, no, I will not be getting this frame as sort of a jumping point to modify my own for our own purposes. Instead, I'm going to have to source individual rails. JLC NC has them super cheap, but they add $85 shipping per rail. For me, for the American, I'm going to have to go domestic. And so I can either email a local supplier or I can go with McMaster-Carr, which oddly enough is probably going to have the cheapest shipping because they do a lot of industrial shipping. They're probably going to have the cheapest shipping, and they're probably going to be the best place for me to source it with to get it fast. Speed isn't super important, but it'll be the most reasonable price. It's something like $230 for the minimum amount of rails that I need. DeWalt battery pinout. That's been what I've been doing for the past couple days, is just sourcing. So yeah, let's just take a look at what this says. Oh, they're not giving me the pinout because it's in a different article. It was a nice picture. Oh, wait, how's this one doing it? Oh, it's an older battery. I see. 20 volt max. 20 volt XR. I see. So the maxes just have a bunch of tabs. That's probably, okay, so that's what this one was for. So actually, to be fair, I could probably jump on Amazon and get an adapter. Tool crows. No, no, no. Get out of here. Holy crap on a stick. TH is thermistor. I see. 1, 2, 3, and 4 are done with different voltages. I mean, really, we're only interested in B- and B+. If they're hitting up that other pin, which one are they trying to hit up? Well, that's on the other type of battery. On this type of battery, it's the thermistor pin. What about the original or the other type of battery? Like this one? Oops, hold on. No, no, no. I want that thing that I found before. DeWalt battery pinout, and then we had one that has... Yeah, what is that one? It's still a thermistor, so it's possible that we could just cut this pin and actually have it still work just fine. Or we just go back to the Stone Ages. What, do I have to go and buy like install like a crank on this thing? We're gonna take it apart just because I want to take this thing apart, and then we can figure out how to get that thermistor pin to actually make a connection, which will probably just be shaving down the battery. But I need a finger sander in order to shave down that battery tab. It's a conundrum. Okay, let's get this thing opened up. I want to see what's inside of this thing, because I just want to. And then we can see if it's actually doing anything intelligent with the thermistor tab. Because this has a speed control select on the side. I'll switch over here. Pretty sure it's just a dumb motor, but it might look at the battery to see that it doesn't get too hot. I thought that was a function of the battery, though, an innate function of the battery. Anyway, so typical tool construction. This is pretty cheap plastic. This was not an expensive tool. I bought it because of its shape, not because of how well it's going to be built or anything. I'm a home gamer. I'm only going to be using this thing like a couple times in its whole lifetime. Maybe we can shave down circuit boards with it. But I don't need the German-made, you know, nicest finger sander in existence. Der finger sander. How do I... Was I supposed to twist? No, that's not twist. So how does this thing capture the belt? Oh, okay. So there's I only vaguely remember doing this before. Something releases that. There it is. It's a button that's inside of this tube. The button in the tube. It is not the button in the tube. There is a button in the tube, but the button in the... Oh, I see. Oh, and then it's under spring tension the whole time. And without it... Oh, no, it's still under... Okay, so it's not the button in the tube. I lied about the button in the tube. I lied about the button in the tube. All right. Supposedly, these are kind of harder to source. They're a little bit more expensive. One came with it, and it wasn't too expensive, so I'm happy for that. So this whole thing's got to go in order for me to open up the two halves of this so we can see some of what makes this thing run. And I'm more interested in the motor than I am in the mechanism, but the mechanism is going to keep the two halves of the shell together. So we're going to have to release this somehow. I don't see a good way to do that yet. It seems to be captured on a lock washer. Is that a hex? That might be a hex. It might be a hex. It's not that hex, it's a small hex. Where'd the hex wrenches go? I think I threw them over there. Hold on, I'm gonna get my hex wrenches. The good ones, the big ones, because I feel like I'm gonna need quite a bit of torque on this. Ah! Bumping into stuff. Oh, that's where that went. I was wondering where my oh bother plaque went, and it's on this light. It's been in a weird place for a while. There we go. Alright, so is it smaller than this? It is not hex, or it's English. There's no way in hell they would have done this in English sizes. Or there's just nothing there. Hold on, let's take a look. Dupe. Okay, it's smooth. It's smooth as our brains. It's as smooth as our brains, so that's not the way. There's probably a way to get at it from over here. So I can release it. That's probably what that plastic cover is protecting. Why is my stool? Oh, the stool's captured on the what racing stuff that I have sitting over there is like keeping my stool from tucking in. Hold on, lift the stool. No, everything's wrong. Everything's wrong. I'm stuck. I'm tangled. I'm gonna die here. Somebody call for help. Send the fire department. Okay, here, I'm good. I'm good. They'll have to get the jaws of life. How did that happen? Oh, I see. It went all the way around. There we go. Okay, mic cable, you go over there. Light, you come over here. Random frame rail. This is watch as a streamer's shop eats him alive. Help someone subscribe. Subscribe so I can call an ambulance, chat. Chat, can we raise enough to get an ambulance here? Twitch does medical subsidies. Okay, let's try to get this cover off because I think that'll help me undo the motor on this end, which I think will free me up to either pluck this thing away. I don't know. We'll have to see. This is all ad-libbed. I'm sure there are guides on this sort of thing online. There are always guides for everything online, you know. Everything's already figured out, right? But I try not to follow guides because it's part of the challenge of these disassembly streams. Okay, I thought that would do something. See, there is a button down here. I don't know what the button is. It's like a button. I don't know what it does. Oh, that just released this thing. Wait, so this thing... Oh, it like locks in, and then you press the button and it extends. Weird. I don't like that you have to kind of like finger your tool in order to get to this thing, though. That seems a little weird. I want to undo that. Let's, this plastic cap is probably the key to releasing this thing. Unfortunately, I don't know how it comes up. It moved a little bit there. I think it's probably that there are two things going in and they have like a hook on the inside. So those go in and clip to something, and then that leaves this big hole behind them, but you can't put a tool behind it and get it to release. That doesn't work. That's my prediction anyway, and it's probably on there pretty good. I can't get to the side of it with this. So I watched Monkey Wrench, the indie animated cartoon, and I thought it was awesome. And it's kind of incredible that it doesn't get a ton of recognition out there, because some of the indie animation things that have been going on since the pandemic have done really well. But Monkey Bone seems to be kind of an underdog. I think it was like number 3 in indie animation. Yeah, the Pandemaroonie. Oh, wait, that's not turning with this. Wait a second. Wait a second. They move as... Okay, this is maybe not just snapped in. Recognition means others wanting a cut. I don't know about that. What does that mean? No, no, no. It's more just that it's pretty much an underdog. I mean, it hasn't done very well in advertising itself, which is not really something that they want to do, which is fine. It can catch on without it. Maybe it's like a watch cover and you have to turn. I think first what I need to do is release this arm, and then this will pull out, and then I can see what that structure is. I mean, I'm no authority on how to make something popular. Look at how the hundreds of thousands of people that are watching me right now, you know? I have no leg to stand on that one. I don't know what you do if you have this sort of amazingly animated series and you've got an idea of where it's supposed to go and you plow ahead and just put your all your heart into it. Sometimes YouTube just doesn't pick it up, or the algorithm doesn't really favor animation all that hard anymore, right? Because YouTube did a lot to like not help indie animation when it was growing the best. They sort of screwed over a lot of creators in that sense. Oh, there's another one. Oh, this one has to go? What the Oh, is this going to rocket forward when okay, hold on. I don't have this under tension, right? Oh, I had it under tension. That could have been bad. Have you tried that hot tub stream yet? I have not. I've seen a creator do a hot tub stream just because they wanted to hit the meta. It was weird. Wait a minute. Why aren't you coming out? Gimme. There's a third screw, but it's not from this side. Or is it? No, I don't think so. Is that like a cap that moves? Did they put a little cap at... Oh my God. So we're dealing with like a knockoff product. This is like not a big name brand that's supposed to use the big name brand batteries. And so we're going to see stuff that's sort of not kosher. Let me get the flashlight on this. Do you think they put a piece of plastic in that plug so that I can't get to that screw? Or is that just a flashing from the mold process? And it is actually supposed to be... I can see a hole clean through the thing, but that goes to there and not to this. So what in the world is still holding it together? Because, like, we can see through a little bit on this hole. Actually, if I put... Yeah, right there. But then something is still holding on to it. And is it this piece of plastic here? Okay, so if I unsnap the two sides of this piece of plastic, I think the fastener is going to be elsewhere. Yeah, see, there's a screw right there. That's what did it. Oh, and it looks like I can put the other two screws back so I don't lose them. No wonder they were plastic screws. It's very strange. This is like a pretty complicated assembly for this sort of thing. We don't need to be shrunk down when we've got some idea of how things go together. We have approximate knowledge of very many things, and we can use that to our advantage here. And this is also how we learn how these things are built in the first place. This seems a little bit complicated for this design, but I guess that's what it is. Who is still designing products like this? I don't know. Okay, that got that cover off. Now we can get these two off, and those are all the way in here, the little machine screws. I don't know. Yeah, in general. Yeah, I don't know. big firms, right? How do I get into product design? I probably need 7 master's degrees to get in there. It's probably pretty competitive because then you end up being the person that builds cool stuff. Yeah, I designed that. Okay, this just fell off. That's pretty good. Ah, there's a little spring. You kind of push this thing in. And it kind of loads it. Oh God, it's all coming apart. Okay, you let go. I guess it needs to have the thing that it goes into over here. That's kind of cool. So it's literally just a catch in this, and you push it back against this spring. There are actually generators for AI, like 3D designs. You can have one of these AIs pump out an STL, which is kind of crazy. I wonder what that's like. I wonder what that technology is like. Oh, okay, so that's how. Nah, that's what those notches are. I figured it out. I figured it out. I figured it out. Look. When I was spinning it, I suddenly saw light through this hole. And it seems like you need to stick something in there, and that's why there were notches on the sides, because those are part of the thing that you stick in to hold the shaft while you untorque the nut. What the hell am I doing with that? That's like the mother of all square drives. I need something that's gonna fit into there and allow me to put some torque on it. I might have something that's not exactly what I need, but something similar to what I need. So like that'll get a hex key like that. And then this, I need to get something on there that's going to be able to torque this. The vertexes are abysmally insane. Yeah, it's going to make like a 10 billion triangle 3D model. Take it into Blender and your computer explodes. I haven't worked with it, but it seems like it's an interesting way to make a base feature and then modify it to your specifications. All of my special wrenches are behind the car seat. Oh boy. I've got some other special wrenches in the drawers, but I don't think those will be adequate. I need like the big ones. Cool, I can't get to them. This, I think it's too big, but I would think that at the factory they have something like this, which was the shuck for the, what is it, the collets system that I have over here. That's should be able to give me enough torque, but I'm not going to be able to get that to stick. The other thing that I've got in here is a plumbing wrench. Oh God, everything just fell over here. Did I scratch my beautiful leather steering wheel? No, okay, we're good. The motor just falls backwards on that thing. That's why I insisted on having a cover on the steering wheel setup for the motor thing, because otherwise I'm going to cut you, chat. We had a drywall guy leave a big fucking scary ass knife. Why was he carrying a a Klein Tools branded, like, stab you in the eyeball knife? Why did he have like a gutting tool? I think it's for drywall, but I mean, like, what? Now I have it. So don't fuck with me, chat. Don't fuck with me. Don't you fuck with me. I'm putting this back in the drawer. By the way, that's all chat does, is fuck with me, so I mean, we'll never be able to live up to those standards. One of these guys? No, that's not gonna do it. That's not gonna do it. Did Bother just threaten chat with a knife? I'll do it again. Alright. Where did that plumbing thing? Oh, there it is. Can this help me at all? Maybe just by virtue of it being a big square wrench, maybe this will help. I don't know. I ain't going back to prison. Gutting drywall, yeah. I'm gutted. Gusseted? Ugh. Okay. So we've got a weird thing that I have to grip. And while I could grip this, I don't want to grip the smooth part because I think it might damage the belts if I'm not careful. What just did that? Oh, I pressed a little plus button on my view here. So like, that's a bit weird. If I had like a block of that width that could actually do it. This is because like I'm not gonna machine something. Okay, this will not work. This will not work. That goes away. I don't need that. I'm not gonna make something specific for this, even though that would be probably the way to go. This is the only one that I'm ever gonna open up like this. So if I can find something that's roughly the right size and strength to fit in that hole and hold the mechanism while I put some torque on the nut, then we'll be good. Although I do need something with moderate strength because we have to fight a lock nut, and those are particularly obnoxious in holding on forever and ever. Like you need to put a lot of torque into them the whole way out. Pin wrench, maybe no. This would be the closest thing that I could use, but I don't know if it's strong enough. I guess it's one way to find out because I almost never need this tool. This is a wrench for like a lens, for undoing a lens. So like the ring lens, the ring nuts that hold lenses together. 1/2 inch square wrench. I don't know. Hold on. I think I have an adapter for one. I think a half is a little big. I don't have much 1/2 inch socket stuff down here because this would be the size. This is probably the biggest that I have, and it is. That actually might be the way. Oh, how am I going to do that then? Oh, wait a minute. Nya, nya, nya. That's too big. That one's too big. This is too big. Too big. If it's got the whole set, then it has the one that I need. No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't. All my car tools are up in the garage. If I had a little tiny bit of extra room, I could have my car tools down here, and then I would definitely have what I need. Oh, baby, you got what I need. All right, hold on. Let me look at the other side of the shop here for more adapters. It's always another adapter. Just one. Bro, just one more adapter, bro. Bro, it's just one more adapter. Just one more. I swear, bro. Just one more adapter. Oh, let's see. I don't even know. Oh, heh heh. Okay, let's see here. We are on the right path. The path to injury, I guess. Okay. You. Biggest that I got. That isn't too big. Still spins freely inside of this. It catches a little. I don't think that's gonna take to my ratcheting though. There has to be an intermediary size between. This one's a little larger, I think. It, like barely. No, it's not gonna grip. It's not gonna grip it. Get out your grippers. Do you think if I load it up with hot glue, there's no way. I just hot glue this into there. Or use some of the gray heat stuff. This stuff is for clamping. But it's heat activated instead of, I mean, hot glue is basically the same stuff, but where'd it go? Where did I put that? It's like over here, maybe? It's like this gray plastic stuff. I don't know where it went. I don't know which one of my bins it went to. In here? I thought I had it with the electronic stuff because it was kind of like blue tack. It's not in there, so it's maybe over here. No, I don't want to use vice grips on that thing because vice grips are inevitably going to scratch up the smooth surface. Vice grips are generally kind of a no-no for that sort of thing. Because yeah, that's how I'll be able to do quite a bit of torque on the thing. I just want something that won't well, that'll take up the excess space, but it'll also not get compacted. So this stuff I could potentially use with a heat gun. I think the washer's idea is probably the best idea because that'll take hammering. Let's get this over here, the big tool bin. We can find a washer pretty easily if we just washer to the flat surface. Throw that wrench over there. Almost broke my mixer's dust cover. I've got studio tools and big tools all alike. I got this really nice mouse sitting here in the middle of this chaos. Yeah, we got to take it off to take the... I'm thinking that's not just an opening. I'm thinking there's plastic that goes under it. It's not on a seam. But there might not be plastic that goes under it. Okay, let's see here. I want to work on a car. I'm getting out all my big tools for this stuff, and it's like, man, I could be working on a car. That would be cool. Use all these impact guns that I haven't used in a million years. Because I haven't been working on cars. They're like big wood screws inside of this bin here. Ooh, baby, you got what I need. Okay, let's see. No. So somewhere in here, there's what I need. Electrical tape around the square tool to build it up. I have a vendetta against electrical tape. I hate this stuff. It's like the worst tape. It only works if you can stretch it against itself, and it's only for like little odd jobs. But people use it for everything because they see a nail and they think they need a hammer. I don't know. People just like don't know the repertoire of tooling that they may have in their disposal in order to get a job done. But using electrical tape on stuff is generally not recommended at all, unless you're trying to do something like temporarily waterproof, like an extension cord. Then you can wrap it from end to end tightly in electrical tape, and the electrical tape will stick to itself, and the electrical cord, preferably being Christmas lights in the winter, will not experience temperatures over 80 degrees. Electrical tape is black. In the sun, it'll get hot, and then the adhesive is just a goop. It just becomes goop. Electrical tape is generally pretty useless. Any other product is better. Same thing with WD-40. It's generally pretty useless. Anything else that you can throw at it is better. Stuff that's a little bit more specific to the job. I mean, WD-40 is really meant to move water off of your tools. So if your tool gets wet, you spray it with WD-40, and then no longer is your tool moist. What is it? The only other use for WD-40 that I don't condemn is using it as actually to keep aluminum from sticking to your drill bit or end mill. It's good for that too, because it's a light machine oil that cleans up. I like how soft E-tape feels. Sometimes that's useful. But then if anything gets even a little bit warm, like body temperature, because you're feeling the tape, it'll become soup. So I really dislike electrical tape. I really, really do. Now the impact wrench has potential to kind of ruin the plastic on the other end. Is that a boom emote? It looks like a boom. Looks like Boom's cat. Boom's cats, Boom's cats, Boom's cats. Wah, 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 wah. Yeah, it is Boom. B-E-W-M. That's funny. Boom has so many O's in the name. I don't know how anybody finds that channel. People think that WD-40 is lubricant. It's actually a grease remover. Yep, which is the opposite of lubricant, and then they'll put it in places that grease is supposed to be, and then it displaces the grease because that's what it does. It's a very light machine oil. Yeah, thank you for doing the shout out. I would never get the number of O's right. And then you end up ruining the thing that you're trying to fix. So sprayable white lithium grease, what is it? Worth for like a hinge. 3-in-1 oil is a much better product than WD-40. Anyway, I'm going to make a lot of noise. Oh my God. It almost immediately gave up. It was like, nope, not dealing with that. You could have done that by hand. Oh, I didn't know. There was plastic under it though, I was right. This thing didn't even need to do it once. Not even one impact. I can't get this to impact without hurting myself. Not even one, it just immediately gave up the ghost. I probably could have just like spun this with my hand. If you buy a so here's the deal. WD-40 is such shit at being a lubricant. Like, it's such shit at being like an actual like grease style lubricant that WD-40 has had to release a bunch of products that are actually lubricants in their fame. I mean, they're like a forever product, right? They're never going to go away. But they've got these alternatives to WD-40 that are actually lubricants. That's how shit they are at being a lubricant. So don't use WD-40 where there should be grease or any proper type of lubricant. 3-in-1 oil, white lithium grease. There's a couple other products that are really good. Those are generally the ones that I use. If you want to derust something, get T5 in a spray can. And if you want a hinge to not squeal, get Worth. W-U-R-T-H. I haven't had an opportunity to use it much yet, but Worth is like manna from the gods. You spray that shit on everything. It's the lubricant that is specifically pointed out for you. It's singled out for use by BMW on their hinges. And so I've got a friend who has a big can of it, and now I have a big can of it, and just spray everything everywhere with that stuff. I know I'm not. Here's how you know it's an actual ringing endorsement is that nobody's paying me to say these things. Good info here. Yeah, I can't just tell you guys that. Like, I can't just be like WD-40 is shit and then not back it up with anything. My opinion is formulated based on quite a bit of experience in this realm. I've had fans, like the Air King fan that I have has one moving part, which is the fan blade. It is connected to the spindle of the motor, and it has 2 skateboard-sized bearings, which are super easy to source. You can get really high-quality skateboard bearings. So if you have a gear puller, you can actually fully service the Air King fans. The only reason I endorse them is because I have had the experience of having one of these fans seize up, hitting it with WD-40, and then it squeaks, and you hit it with WD-40, it stops squeaking, and then it starts squeaking again, and then it seizes completely. So the Air King fan brand is like my favorite. I'm an American, so it's American made, blah, blah, blah. No money has changed hands in order to do this, but if you have a miniature gear puller, you can pull the fan off of the spindle, pull the 2 bearings off, put new skateboard bearings on, which are the exact size, grease them up with something good, not red grease necessarily, although I think for the fan, red grease would be fine, but something like a white lithium or, something a little thicker than just what is it? That stuff. Worth. Is it worth it? Yes. I use super lube. What is that? I've been shaken out of the WD-40 idea. It's okay. Yeah, it's nice to rant every now and then. So yeah, I was totally right. There is plastic underneath that. I just thought it would be on there a little harder. All right, so let's get all the screws out now, and we can just see the mechanism. This is more exploratory surgery because I just want to see it. It seems like it's got some kind of a temperature thing going on. I don't know what it would be doing with that, but maybe we modify the blade so that it actually makes contact if it needs it. If it's got like fancy electronics as kind of like a lockout. I don't know why it would be monitoring the temperature of the pack though, because I think the pack shuts itself off. Worth is a shop brand. Worth is actually, I found out communicating with Ciano as Niano on Discord, that Worth is actually a supplier of goods, and it's a variety of goods, but the lubricant that they have is amazing. It's apparently really good. 19, I'm never going to count the number. I'm never going to remember 19 O's. That's so many O's. Come on, give me the screw. Me negotiating with the lady of the night. Okay, there we go. basically just attack all the screws. Even though there's an applied seam right here, it's not what you think it is. Sometimes they just put seams on these things to look cool. You gotta have good lube, you know? Very important. Gimme it. So my question is this gonna be blade compatible? I think the battery will clip in. It's compatible with the previous generation of battery. This one has like a little blocker on the tab, which is a crazy way to operate. But if I can either remove the temperature tab or cut it in some way so that it'll fit into this battery, then I think I'll be good to go, unless they change specifications on the temperature sensor. Plastic molded injection design. But like, they're implying like a grip sticker here, but it's just part of the molding. It's not, it's got a full seam all the way around it. It's literally just decorative, but there is an actual seam right here. So what's going on with that? But it comes up as an entire piece. Okay, so battery reading the temperature of the tool. So it's the other way around. I thought it would be tool measuring battery, because I thought for charging the battery, they would have an internal... Wait, but that's what the diagram told us, is that it's an internal battery pack. We're modding it. We're modding the tool. That's why I say against all recommendations. DeWalt 20-volt battery pinout diagram. It's a YouTube video. It's always... Is this Big C? No, it's Tool Crows. So... TH goes through... It's internal to the battery. It's important to keep the lithium-ion batteries from heating up too much. Your motors, I guess they just don't care. Like, the motors will do whatever. Well, mod so I can use the 20V lithium, yeah. Because it seems like all I need to do is shave down the one post. Trying to learn electrical stuff, so finding this channel is perfect. Hey, I would love to cater to a variety of skill levels. I know sometimes they'll talk stuff that's too advanced. I do try to do simpler things. Today is kind of a simpler day. I'd love to earn some viewers today, and it's cool that you found my channel that way. I love getting questions from beginners, because then it makes me feel smart and sound smart. It's like, wow, Bother really knows his stuff. And I'm talking about here, like, what a resistor does is it turns the flow of electrons into heat. I'm like, whoa, he's so smart. I'm just spouting 101 shit. I started the electrical stuff when I was a teenager, and I sort of opened up a Radio Shack book, and back then it was either basic stamp or analog. And so I learned a lot of analog stuff that didn't really push my skills forward as much as it should have. And then when the digital stuff came along, I mostly self-taught through tinkering. But I did also go to college for electrical engineering, so there's that. Very cool. Lots of cool stuff in here. Universal DC motor. We've got a whatever it is, right angle drive kind of thing going on with a curved gear to try to keep noise down and chattering down. A lot of bearings. That's the skateboard size bearing that you see everywhere. We have some smart, and look at this. Smoking gun. Smoking gun. Only reason that's there is so that I don't use a different battery pack. Oh, I am tickled pink. Although if somebody turns pink when you're tickling them, you probably should stop. Yeah, we could just get rid of the whole tab. That's it. It's just forfeit. That's what I was hoping to see. I didn't know that would be the case. Why are these two pieces? That's so weird. I guess they can sell a bunch of different units of different functionality and have different battery holders on the end. Or maybe I can separate the two and I can put like a 30-foot pole on it so that I have a finger sander that can reach way out and sand something far away. So this will pretty much just go back together. It looks like we got one of these big buttony things. They're kind of similar to arcade buttons, only this one's, wow, this is actually hard to flip. But that's just part of the mechanism of the on-off switch. So in order to not undo any of the stuff in here or have a spring fly out at me at 70 billion miles an hour, we're just going to put her back together. It's just going to go right back together. Although I can observe some of the electronics here to see how it works, although it might not be completely necessary. I don't know if that's like going to be a PWM thing or if it'll just, because it's not really doing any advanced motor control. It's basically, this thing drops the hammer on the motor. The motor is just a split of the red wire coming from the battery. Oh, I see. Wait, what's this do then? Oh, this is on the ground wire, huh? So when this gets pressed, it's going to supply power to this board, and then this board will supply power to the motor. So it's not always on. This is basically a battery cutoff, so you don't have like a quiescent current of this board running. When you don't want to crawl into the car to grind, yeah, you give your 30-foot pole with a little finger sander on the end. Oh, hold on. DF45OB2U. We will never find that part number unless we search like Chinese language website. But U1, there's a possibility that we could find what U1 does. When you reverse engineer a circuit, the very first thing you do is you look up what the chips are. Engineers are not incredibly creative, although I do think that they get too little credit for being creative, because engineering should be a creative discipline, because coming up with solutions to stuff is an innately creative act. No strain relief on this wire, I gotta be careful. But anyway, so what you do is you look up the part numbers on the chips, and oftentimes they will have example circuits in the data sheets for the chips. And the data sheets for the chips and their example circuits often describe exactly what is on the board that you're trying to reverse engineer. So I can barely see that right now. And so I'm double guessing. I'm gonna get in here a little further. Sorry, it's a little shaky. Hold your horses, cool your jets. Stop shaking so much. Okay, so GSO69W, let's look that up. GSO69W, just that part number. Put datasheet after it. GSO69W datasheet. Unclassified manufacturer. Missing GSO69W. Show results of the chip. What? What do you mean it's missing? DC rotational velocity controller for electric tools. That sounds like our part. So check out the datasheet PDF. This is all datasheets. You got to be careful where you click on the site. Show me. Correct pinout. We got an in out D plus D minus. Rotational velocity controller is an application specific, an ASIC. When you hear somebody talk about an ASIC, it's an application specific integrated circuit, ASIC. CMOS IC for electrical tools. It features a wide power supply voltage range, low power dissipation, high interference immunity. It controls the rotational speed of electric tools by changing the output of the VMOS transistor. VMOS? Okay. Through an external resistor network. Oh, okay. What is this thing exactly doing? It looks fairly simple. And then your application chart is, in our case, we have a selector. We don't just have a variable resistor. But the selector might just be just a weird kind of rheostat. All right, and that's it. That's all we get. We don't get a lot of information about this thing. This site scrolls weird. Well, now we know. They're just using an ASIC on a board and hooking it up exactly the way that they were told to. And so we get this layout here where we've got a big old potentiometer with a detent, and then we have literally exactly the parts that were laid out in the data sheet. And that controls our motor. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. All right. Arguably, creativity in EE is often a bad approach, and stealing working designs is much more robust. I'm still of a mind that there needs to be a lot of creativity. I'm not talking about like, why don't we make it a totally novel design? That's not, I mean, yeah, that's creative. Making up a novel design for a device is creative. But what I mean is being able to use the tools in front of you to put together something that is elegant and simple and effective and, robust and tried and true. Those all play into creativity. I don't necessarily, whip out, I really want to say it, but I don't want to lose viewers if I talk about painting with my penis. But I don't necessarily whip it out and just start hitting a canvas with it. I mean, some people have. I have seen that specific example. But it's like, I go and I get a paintbrush, and then I paint what's on my mind, right? It's similar with this kind of stuff. I think the creativity in electrical engineering is often underplayed, and it is absolutely a primary skill that should get utilized in the field. Free designs are there, so you purchase parts from the same company. Can I bend this and it'll give up? I don't want to damage the plastic. That's the only problem, is this is molded around the pin. So if I get a big pair of pliers and I perch right here and I squeeze it there, is it going to break the plastic, or is this pin going to eventually pop through? I could put my soldering iron on it and then try to push it, and then it'll burn me. I think the soldering iron approach is going to be the approach, though, because if I heat it up, then it's not really going to want to stick into the plastic. Turn this on, get a big thing of solder, and a pair of pliers. These are the widest ones that I have in my reach right now. That'll probably let me push it from behind, and then, well, no, I want to push it from the other side because then all the solder's over here. Unless I solder it on the other side, and then I'll push it down. Maybe that's the way to go. Yeah, that's the way to go. Well, using the thermals, I bought the whole thermal camera. I'm going to use the whole thermal camera. So sometimes when you're soldering stuff like this, it doesn't like want to hold on to the solder and everything, or you'll be pushing on the one side and you won't get a lot of heat into there. I find it useful and a special careful trick, if you already know how to solder properly, to sneak just a little bit of solder onto the iron so that you get that rosin core, the rosin from the core coming out of there and coating everything, and so that you get a little bit of molten solder as a means by which to transfer heat. So as I'm doing this, what I'm going to do is I'm going to sneak just a little bit of solder onto the iron, and then I'm going to apply the solder spool from the other side of the pin, and I'll just wait until I can actually solder to the pin, because this 300 watt iron is going to be depositing quite a bit of heat to this thing, at which point I think I'll be hot enough to try to push this thing through from the other end. A little bit more there. All right, so there's our heat. I'm going to hold it for just a second so that I can get to the other side at full bore. Probably start plastic smoking and stuff. Okay, that's probably hot enough. And then we take this and we grab and pull. That does not want to move. There might be something else to the structure on this. Yep, not moving. So I don't know. There might be like wings in there. Is EE still a good career? You'd be balling in the plug. Balling in the club. Listen, man, I went into electrical engineering and I got a degree in it at just the time when they were putting the clamps down on the millennials, and all of my friends who got into the business before I did, they got in a little bit earlier and got all this prestige and went really high on the ladder, and I just stagnated. I did not go higher on the ladder in spite of all the skills that I had, which matched all my friends. They would throw me under the bus for stuff like doing performance reviews and things, like without telling me any of the material that I should do. They would throw me at doing a performance review, and it's like, well, what am I supposed to do here? And so they wouldn't give me like big raises or anything. I eventually got a job at a medical design firm that did actually give me a proper paycheck, but then as soon as they went to really hire me, they said, well, the extra money was just for the risk that you'd be taking on by having this sort of temporary position. So they didn't want to pay me any money. And it was like happening to my entire generation all at once. There we go. So here I am, after all that, after getting fired from that position, not really getting paid all that much for being an electrical engineer. It's supposed to be riding easy with the EE skills. That's what everybody thought. Can't really speak to it nowadays, though. With the boomers finally starting to leave the workforce, maybe there are skill gaps that need to be filled, and Gen Z will probably come in there on the backs of the Gen X, and my generation will continue to just get fucked over by all these assholes. That's why I'm streaming. I'm my own boss, me and Jeff Bezos. So yeah, typical pin design is that there was just a little tiny feature in the plastic that would keep it retained. It sucked because the guys that I was working with were my age, and they were put up all the way to management positions because they got there like a year or two before I did. That was it. That's all it took. A year or two, and those guys got all the opportunities and all the advancement in the world. They went on to higher level consulting jobs within the firm that I was in, and I ended up just going to tracking devices division where I was doing some pretty cool stuff. I could have gotten on that government paycheck, but then I probably also would have had to get a master's degree in order to get money, and then some dog kid would probably kick over my monitor and shit on my desk while I was working, if I was still working there. So there's a hole that the plastic gets into, and then there are these little nublins that sort of hold this gigantic pin in place. So by heating this thing up, we were able to get the plastic soft enough that I was able to overcome it and remove that pin, because we don't need it, because nothing needs it. It doesn't need it. It doesn't need to be there. So let's reassemble the whole thing and hope to maybe a higher power that this thing actually freaking still works. Let's see. So that spring just goes in there like that. Okay. This is sort of more zen in the art of motorcycle repair than it is actually building a thing. We are modifying it, but we're not doing the completely cursed modifications, right? I'm not doing stuff that'll make this thing deliberately explode, because this is one of my tools. Now, I did say in the title, I kind of implied that I would be doing something like making cursed modifications, but no, I'm not. We're doing totally milquetoast removal of a pin in order to get this thing to actually function under the batteries that I want it to function under. Sensational title, Honest Toast. Okay, these are not sticking to my screwdriver as much as I would like them to. It helps when they do, but... All right. I'm not too concerned. If I was too concerned about having to go into this device over and over again, these are sort of self-tapping plastic screws. What you can do is go backwards until you feel a click, and then go forwards on that, and then you're in the same threads. These are treated a lot like wood screws because plastic is relatively soft. So what they do is they have unthreaded holes for posts, and then the screw will sort of make its own pressure by making its own grooves. And so if you want to keep this, proper, back it up till you feel a click right there, and then you go forward again. My student debt horror story, any student debt horror story. I paid off my student debt relatively fast because, again, I got an electrical engineering job. I got decent electrical engineering jobs for big consulting firms directly out of college. It didn't pay off as fast as it should have. I really should have been paid a lot more. And the worst horror story that I have is I cried in front of a boss. I cried in front of my boss's boss, in fact. I will openly admit that I will, because it's one of the most embarrassing things I've ever done, because they tried to pass off a 0.6% raise on a type 1 diabetic who is very well managed and uses a lot of technology. And so my medical bills and my living expenses and my food budget were all clashing together. I was one of the first millennials to experience this bullshit. I broke down. I was way overstressed. I did a lot of really good work for that unit too. And by the way, they charge double of what I made for my services. So it's my first brush with the pricing schemes of Twitch, who also takes half of what I earn here. Why am I standing for this shit? Well, nobody does anything on YouTube either, and I don't have enough viewers to sort of monetize that. Twitch, I was fortunate enough to know Roboz and also have some interesting content during the pandemic. And then when I get the board running again, the board is the big draw to this channel. The board is something that I am hoping to game in Twitch, at least. I don't know about the YouTube, maybe not, but I want to get on the front page of Twitch, which I could have applied for many times already. But my big push is going to be front page of Twitch with the board running. And if I have the board running, then I have a system by which subscribers will be able to have their names burnt onto a big piece of wood on my wall. That's what the board is. I show it in a minute, but I'm sort of working on this. Post bad direction as a trash tool they're hoping to get working again. I'll take a look in just a minute. I probably should have used the screwdriver bits, because the Wera screwdrivers are like second to none, but when you're dealing with these kinds of screws, you need a little bit more torque than the thin Wera body sort of lets you put in. Mostly it just destroys my hands. I mean, there's a hex key here that I could also get onto to put more torque in, but the horrors of a Twitch name preserved in wood for all time. Yes, the most inane kind of okay, you can't see it there. The most inane Twitch names ever. And that's the wonder of the board. I know everybody keeps asking me about the board, and it's like, man, I'm burnt out on the board. All right, we're going to get to it though. You know, I've got a couple things happening, and the holidays brought me sort of a rug pull of a project in that my brother drops off a fully featured BMW chair onto my lap, literally. And so I've got to go back to the steering wheel project and do some help with that, because an even longer sitting project, the joysticks that are over there have sat longer. All those things. Burn out, is that because of the laser? Anyway, so burn the subs. Burn the subs is this big project over here. Apologies for the random comment, but I'm impressed by the whole nerd den you have going for a streaming studio. I'm a millennial. This is literally everything I own in life. That's all I got, and it's all broken. None of it is together. There's a whole car that I think goes with this one, but it's a BMW turn signal. It's one of God's own prototypes. Too weird to live, too rare to die. Anyway, this is all I own in life, except for everything in my bedroom and my car. So, and the fart box. Yeah, but anyway, the burn the subs is this giant motorized thing on the wall that we still need to get together. It's got a bunch of stuff that we still need to do. It's getting there. We've made a lot of really good progress over the past 3 years, but I haven't had it working. So we will focus on it at some point soon. And we'll get all the hardware done, and then we can jump into software, and I can finally get that thing working. And then I will schedule with Twitch the day that I go live with Burn the Subs. We will be on the front page, and things will get crazy from there. It'll be just a day of nonsense. So we got to make sure that the beam hits that board without causing a lot of smoke. That's like the #1 requirement, because if I go live on the Twitch front page, I don't know how much money I'm going to make off of the thing. That was the scary part with it, is that I'm on the public health plan of Pennsylvania, and I can't make over a certain amount of money, or else I get kicked off of it. And I'm a type 1 diabetic, which means that if I do get kicked off at the threshold, if I get kicked off of the public health care program on the threshold of earnings, I cannot afford to take care of my own diabetes, and I have to send a pretty horrible email to my parents. And they're like, we can cover it, but I don't want to have to do that. I did a lot in order to apply and get accepted into the program, and now I have to disclose all of my earnings at the end of the year. And if I do, then I get to have insulin pumps and stuff. Then we can attach it to the fart box so it farts as it etches. I don't think that'll be necessary. Yeah, so this room of the house is pretty much my all my stuff. It's weird that this didn't like grip that much. Like the impact wrench was a little too good at advancing it. I think maybe I need to use just like a regular wrench. Oh yeah, hex key. Where did that go? Use this one? I think so. Yeah, there we go. All right, so that locks it in, and then this just advances it. Get it started there. I have an autoimmune disease, so I get it. Yeah, it's fucking blows, dude. Type 1 diabetes, man. Worst choice I made in my life. Don't be like me. I was like, hey, man, yeah, I'll take some type 1 diabetes, sure. Twitch Mythbusters. If I paired up with Uo's Lab, Uo's Lab has so many more viewers than I do. I'm so insanely jealous of him. I talk about him constantly. It's like I'm in love. But he does a lot more zany shit that I wish I could do. You know, I would do stuff with high voltage if I could. But again, I'm wearing my pancreas on my arm right now, you know? So I don't want to deal with high voltage and blowing up my medical equipment. But if I paired up with like Uo's Lab, we could probably do some pretty insane shit. Of course, then I'd have to work faster and harder, and that kind of scares me. Uo's Lab does a lot of like half-baked kind of things that get him a lot of viewers. I have to admit that guy's done real well for himself. I am jealous. And more power to it. Great to see you on Twitch. Let's see if this thing will like... Not at all. Okay, I need that washer. Washer? Did I lose the washer already? I lost the washer already. My washer! I mean, with a lock nut on there, that actually could be tight enough, as long as this doesn't wobble. Yeah, that's probably good enough. He says moments before his tool explodes. If it's got a lock nut on it, it's going to stay there, so... And then we reintroduce this little mabba jamba. Open this up a little bit. There we go. And then this goes on here. Wait a minute. No, here, like this. Yep. Okay. I remember. I remember. I totally remember. If you guys, those of you who are like new to the stream, because we get like a trickle of YouTubers. We sometimes get like totally new people from YouTube, which is pretty cool. I don't know what the YouTube streaming scene is like. The ones that wander in seem to like the channel plenty. I mean, we're a little bit more twitchy because that's the origin. My Twitch origin starts with Twitch Plays Pokemon. I used to open that up at my desk at the FBI's Technology Center. There's an IP to suddenly see connect to your network. Wait, is this the FBI's Tech Center for Tracking Devices is watching my channel? Anyway, so... I made the screen name, this Oh Bother screen name way back when Twitch Plays Pokemon was a thing. And good times, a lot of fun for TPP. Because I was bored at work. I was bored. There was, oh, I see. Order of operations failure. I gotta undo this. But yeah, so I was actually going to... Oh, my daughter read Mega Science's comment about Fartbox, so I had to show her. Yeah, so those who are new here, if you hear these fart noises, those are not generated by like a, oh, silly soundboard. Oh, I incorporate our tool into your Twitch integration, and then we'll make silly fart noises. No, that's not what it is. This is actually a device that I built. And the device that I built is made out of a dollar store fart noise maker. It is made specifically for creating rude noises. We took it apart. It turns out, in order for the buttons to work on such a low power system, the buttons would directly connect 3 volts into a epoxy top chip. So you put transistors on that, put an ESP8266 on that, you time the fart noises, which was the weirdest part about doing this whole thing, is actually figuring out how many milliseconds approximately each fart takes up, so that you can make a queue. And so users will spend channel points, and those channel points are detected this time by node red. The device used to get into the Twitch API on its own. That became too confusing because credentials would expire, and then I wouldn't know what device the credentials were from, and I'd have to go through little tutorials that I'd write for myself 6 months ago, and that got really hinky. It was not fun. So what I did is I changed the whole system to use Node-RED. So Node-RED is on the Twitch API waiting for things like channel points and subscriptions and whatnot. And so that's what the ESP8266 is doing. It's looking for a prompting from Node-RED to tell it, hey, somebody redeemed channel points to the effect that they want to hear a random fart noise, one of 9. They want to hear one of 9 fart noises. And so it plays one of 9 fart noises and waits for the expiration of the timer of that fart noise to then play the next one in the queue. And it does that ad infinitum. But that is a physical device that's actually right there. And so this dollar store fart noise maker, I happen to also have a Bluetooth speaker, a really old Bluetooth speaker that I bought with a friend at Micro Center. And I took it apart. It was 3 Mares that I bought it with. I took it apart, and it had this Harman Kardon speaker in it. Famous for the Apple stand-up speakers with the clear plastic, the ones that look really weird, and also BMW speakers, Harman Kardon. And I hooked it up directly to the fart noise maker. And would you believe that it was perfectly driven by this dollar store device? Perfectly. Like to the point where, hold on, I'm trying to get that one. To the point where some of the farts actually kind of hurt if my head is near them. It's like immaculate. All right, I want to put this thing back on too. I guess this just clips off, huh? It just clips away. Away. All right, belt sander, take 1. So a couple things could happen here. This could overheat immediately. Both systems are 20 volts though, so it should be able to... This is putting such a dumb smile on my face. Hey, I'm glad to tickle the funny bone. Some of my friends say I'm the funniest guy they know, and I don't believe them. Not for 1 second. All right, I'm put away a couple tools here. I'm hiccuping. Meatloaf sandwich for lunch was not a great idea. Mahalo was the one that sent in that screwdriver, by the way. The not all the way across the room fidelity is great. That's the authenticity of it, right? Because you're listening to it through my lapel microphone at a distance. You can hear it like echoing and all kinds of other stuff. The ground effect. That bit actually should have gone in here. Where did I put it? Oh, it's down here. Hold on. It's with the electric screwdriver. If you ever have a job like with a modular synthesizer or just something where there's tons and tons of screws, I can say that these things are pretty cool. These little motorized screwdrivers. Because like when I want to reconfigure my whole modular synth, it's like put the hex key in here and just go burp, 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 and then my wrists don't explode afterwards. Although I do a certain amount of manual screwing myself, if I do say so, just because, I don't know, keep strong wrist muscles. Like an ox. Okay, so presumably now, the tabs for the batteries will contact, and this shitty tool that is just made for a bargain price will be able to use its very basic universal DC motor and its little right angle drive to move this piece of sandpaper in such a way that I can make things smoother with the touch, just with a touch. Actually, the construction of this thing is not that cheap. It actually seems like it's pretty decently built. I would say of the cheap ass tools that I have experienced, this one seems like it's pretty good. We're going to turn this up to 6, so it's going its maximum. Yeah, same thing as handwriting, something to keep the skill. I don't know if I've kept my handwriting skills. I'm not sure. I don't know what cursive is. Huh? Wait a minute. This is going to be a slightly different design for the slides, too. Yeah, it probably will be. Okay, so assuming these are lining up properly, this might be an instance where I need to get an adapter. Oh yeah, the battery tabs are actually further in. It might have actually been better for me to remove the one on the outside. Okay, so that's not going to work. Oh, the whole thing is a bust. They narrowed up their pins. These are more narrow than the old ones. So let's just, hold on, I can very quickly just do. $20V max to $20V XR. Nope, not the mama, not the mama, not the mama. Actually, that is the mama. 16 bucks. Little man, put that shit in my hand. Yeah, so that's the new one. This is the old one. $16 is a little steep, but I guess I'll just do it. 30-minute shipping, yeah, right? All right, I'm just getting that so I never have to think about it again. And I probably could have 3D printed something too, but I'm just gonna spend a stupid amount of money on it, which I don't appreciate. There probably were cheaper ones in there. I'm just going for the first thing that I see because I want closure, and there we go. I don't want to think about this project again. I probably could have kept that other tab in too. Oh well. Oh well. So yeah, that'll clip onto the bottom of this thing, and then I'll have a finger sander finally. It's kind of annoying. Literally just moving the tabs closer together, but now it's just going to be this big stack on the bottom of this thing. Oh well. I gotta search better when I buy stupid tools like that. I gotta make sure that it's XR compatible, because literally the only difference between the two is the pin spacing and maybe some stuff for the railings that hold the batteries together. Probably this pin here, so you don't use the old so you don't try to put the old battery into the new one, right? Just this little cut right here. God, that was annoying. Okay, get all this stuff out of the way. Well, we didn't actually solve the problem. Thought we did. Didn't. Oh well. Yeah, this one's got all the pins. It's got all 4 of the pins, but these are like half height. And actually, this whole battery thing is like a separate piece. So I wonder if I could just buy the battery thing and attach it to the other tool. Nah, probably not. Offsetting the center of maths will really make that functional. I mean, we're talking about like that much space for the really heavy. It's not really going to offset the center of mass. A little bit. I guess there is kind of a center of, it's like right here. So it'd probably be like back a little further if you use one of the 4 cell ones. If you throw one of these guys on there, I guess it'll be a little bit. I don't think it's going to matter that much. Darn it. That would have worked too. That would have been a nice little conclusion to our stream. Okay, well, anyway, money plane. We got to get this money gun working. So this is the money gun. It is as simple as you think. It is as simple as you think. It's literally just a little gear motor. Gear motor. Connected to one of the cheapest switches in the world. I got some of these for various electronics things. They're not really all that strong, but they are cheap. Looks like somebody soldered it to the wrong pin, but it's literally just a break in the motor wire. So we got the motor there, wires coming out, and then the red wire splits on the switch. Then for some reason we go up this way and we go to a battery tab, right? And then the white wire goes to the other battery tab right there. So power from the battery, 1.5 volts, goes over to there, 3 volts, 4.5 volts, to the red wire that goes down to the switch. That's it, that's all we are. So the idea is to use an ESP8266 instead of this button here. And instead of that button there, I will be using a motor controller. I could probably just throw a MOSFET at it, but I don't know if I have a basic enough MOSFET. And then we will find some kind of either a 5 or a 4.5 volt supply, probably 5 volts, and then I'm gonna have to put a 3.3 volt regulator in it. And then we have a chat controlled money gun. And I will shave all of the superfluous parts off of this. For now, what I guess I can't do Do you need, is there a battery door, or do I need to take the whole thing? No, there's a battery door. Okay. Battery door, power supply. I'm not even willing to put full AA power into this thing before we start modifying it, because it is just so simple. And it pretty much, it just has a sprung lid that pushes down on the front of the bills. Why do I have so many dollar bills? It's because I'm a stripper. And then this piece right here, this metal piece, is just so that you don't lose money when you're carrying this thing around. Can you made one for quartets? I don't know what that means. But yeah, we're gonna put Chad in control of this eventually. It'll be donation based. So if I get a donation of money, this will spit out a bunch. So all right, plus to plus. Oh, that's not gonna be easy. How do I get up there for it? It's an amazing idea. That's what we do around here. All right, so I'm gonna have to hold that one. This one can just snap to the spring. And then I gotta turn the power supply on and turn it to 5 volts. Quarters, $quarter. No. It'll be like if there's a big donation, it'll set off a bunch of bills coming out. There will be a threshold. You know, that's a lot of the point of why I do this stuff, is because they are disruptive things, but they're entertaining. I'm going to put this at 5 volts, which means we're juicing it up a little bit, but at 5 volts, what is its money throwing potential? Oh, power supply's not on. I pushed the button and I heard like a squeal. I actually cleaned those up. It took me a while. It was one of the more artistic things that I've done lately. I didn't clean all of them up because the smaller sizes were like giving me arthritis. But they're mostly back together. And, you know, it's like something like that. It's okay if they're not totally organized, because you're going to test them with a screw anyway before you put it in. But anyway, yeah, I don't know what the money threshold is going to be. Let's just see what this thing is like. You ready? 3, 2, 1. Oh my God, this thing is horrible. These were added later and they're a little bit more wrinkly. So that is going to be a very quick thing. Oh my God. I'm like that SpongeBob meme. Not really meme, just that picture where he's got all the money and he's in like a suit. My mother's not a stripper. She does old lady tea party stuff with organizations, non-charitable, non-profitable. That was the one. They are charitable. They're non-profitable. They're non-profitable organizations. And so when you have events like that, you end up collecting a bunch of $1 bills. She didn't know what to do with all of them, because it's really, is it worth the trip to the bank? Probably. So when I brought up the money gun, because I was having a laugh, saying, yeah, I bought a money gun. She's like, I got the perfect thing for it. I don't know what to do with these. Does it come preloaded with dollars? No. They give you a stack of fake money that you can use with it, but I figured I'd want, again, these windfall things, like my brother having a car seat to donate to my project, and my mother having a bunch of dollar bills in a little bank slip packaging. What's up, Madamu? Did I say what's up, Madamu? I don't think I missed it. Or no, I think I missed it. Yeah, I did miss it. But anyway, my mother happening to have a bunch of dollar bills, like, these are just coincidences. Anti-charity businesses. We're anti-charity. Pro-cancer. We actually root for cancer. Are you printing out fake oh bother money? That would be a good thing to do. That would be a good route to go if I didn't get a bunch of real dollar bills. Who uses these anymore? This one is not in good shape. I should not recirculate this one into the money plane. If I start printing fake dollar bills, do you think the government's going to like jump on my throat? Because you can't photocopy these. The photocopier recognizes. the image of the dollar bill. And apparently that's why the yellow always runs out, even though if you're printing in black and white, it uses cayenne to put down an identifying pattern onto the page. I've been throwing them away, same as the round stuff. What? I can still use this to buy sodas and stuff. I don't think it's that unworth my time. Yeah, the stuff that's built into copiers is pretty crazy. But that's why everybody complains about the cayenne ink running out so fast, is because your printer is actually keeping a chain of identification going without you knowing. Money gun. Oh, see, that wouldn't even work because those dollar bills on the bottom aren't pressed in. It's actually kind of amazing how quickly this thing goes to the stack. You may want to slow it down a little bit. And that really did chuck the dollar bills out. I guess it doesn't give a shit how much it's throwing out. Oh, that one's all crinkled on itself. I see, I see. Because, yeah, this went through the whole stack in like a bill a second. And that pushes down the front of the bill, so hopefully it makes it out. Also heard that printers put random dots onto the papers they print and have a fingerprint for forensic purposes. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about. All right, test it again. I just want to get to know. This is at 6 volts. Why is this at 6 volts? 4.78. And yet I'm requesting 4 volts. What's going on here? Why is my power supply being a weirdo? Look at this. Why are we almost out of spec here, bud? I'm saying it should be at 5 volts and you're at 4.78? What is going on? What the heck? I wonder if this needs to be like calibrated or something. 0 volts, 0.78. Do you have to calibrate these things? Maybe I threw it out of spec by having it connected to the battery system and powering it from the opposite end. Because I hit it with I was hitting these tabs over here with power and then plugging in USB. Maybe that put it out of spec. It's been hanging out with you for too long. Yeah, I don't know, man. Do I need to like calibrate? 4.7 is not the right. That is disturbing to me, actually. If I request 4 volts out of the power supply, I should be getting 4 volts out of the power supply. I don't know what that's all about. Okay, so this is almost at 5 volts. So what if I'm going to look at the current when I run this thing? It uses 1 amp. That sounds like it would be damaging to the dollar bill. Ah! Oh God, it's raining. I made it rain. Jesus Christ. Even just a quick burst is enough to just cover the whole friggin' desk. I gotta go pick up dollar bills on the floor like I'm some kind of a... I'm not gonna say it. Trying to keep them contained as I make a complete ass of myself. I would feel bad having one of these things. You know? You're like, I'm so sorry. I'm crying. I'm setting off my money gun. One amp. So this thing uses 1 amp. So that means that any of the motor controllers that I have would be totally fine. Looks like my girlfriend's spending. Ha ha, boomer. I hate wife. I hate woman. I am Boomer Humor Man. Boomer Humor Man says, what day of calendar is 1984? I not able to be sexist anymore. This is criminal. Okay, let's get all these fucking things up again. This sucks. Fucking stupid ass dollar bills everywhere. I'm gonna get mad at the money gun, but it'll make people donate and then I'll get more money. So it's sort of like you kind of grit your teeth. Having a board on my wall that makes people subscribe to an inordinate amount of Twitch subscribers from a very mild incentive in that I can have like Poop Shooter 9000, whatever screen name is Poop Fart Sniff 20 on Twitch, will get a gift sub to my channel, and then it makes me more popular. I'm so sorry. I'm just so rich that I don't know what to do with myself. Yeah. Giving them that tiny incentive and then completely interrupting my show when I'm trying to do electrical stuff, it's great. You grit your teeth, get through it, and you continue to come up with inane shit that's going to incentivize interaction with your channel, right? That's the space that I live in. That's my life now, being a Twitch streamer. And I like it. I like it plenty. I would like to be a Twitch millionaire. That would be nice. I would really like to be a Twitch millionaire, because you look at these guys in their empty mansions because they don't know how to buy furniture. They're big empty mansions with just a computer in a big empty room, and their echoey audio that they don't do any work on. Why does this one have 100 written on it? Who wrote that? Maybe it's 001. A boomer, though, because that's a cursive O. In cursive, is a 0 treated like an O? Probably. Yeah, the kitchen that's never been used. That one always gets me. I don't know if Djibouti Show's kitchen is like that. I know Louis cooks, but oh, that gets me so much. They have these beautiful kitchens and they don't do anything with them. They look completely like dusty. I love cooking. I don't know how somebody couldn't love cooking. But yeah, I want to be a Twitch millionaire. Although as a Twitch millionaire, I think a lot of my Twitch millionaire money would go towards treating my own diabetes. You know, I'd have to buy my own insurance, and then a lot of money would go towards medical devices that I use, because I use the Omnipod insulin pump, which they say with insurance a pump may only be as little as $30. But then you're putting 200 units of insulin into it, depending on how much you're getting insulin for under the insurance. Probably not being too charitable there. That's a very expensive piece of hardware that you literally just have band-aided to your arm. And when you use the pump, that's it. That's it for the pump. You got 200 units that'll go into your body. Once it's done, garbage can. And so then you pick up another pump and use it. Say, well, that's, you know, $35, what, like a week? The pump lasts for a day and a half for me sometimes. Since I've been taking some stuff and cutting back the amount of food that I eat because I have no self-control, I have been able to use the pump for about 2 days, maybe 2+. The medical company always tells you, oh, it's 3 days. It's okay. Why didn't they design it with the 300 unit reservoir? I don't know, because that's common in pumps. Pumps, 300 unit reservoir. The pumps aren't refillable. The ones that I use attached to your body, and that's freed me up massively, because the ones that attach to my body, I can also control with Bluetooth through my phone. I use a third-party app called the Android Auto Pancreas system with a glucose meter. The glucose meter is also really expensive. People have been buying those out of prescription, people that don't necessarily need them for fitness purposes, which I'm fine with as long as there's plenty of supply so that diabetics don't get denied them. I would love more people to be using this stuff, because more users of the stuff should bring down the price in an ideal world. Probably doesn't, though. So the glucose meter, the 5 minutes, every glucose level every 5 minutes with a 5-minute delay, absolutely the most important diabetes treatment technology ever. And I do mean, even in spite of the insulin pump being as awesome as it is, that ability to see your glucose levels every 5 minutes with a 5-minute delay, I put above the insulin pump. I think it's a more important treatment technology. But Android Auto Pancreas system wraps them all up in a big bow, so that now I have a feedback loop controlling my diabetes. And for the first time in 31 years of having diabetes, I have been able to not think about diabetes every second of every day. So, big deal. It's a big deal. So anyway, I want to be a Twitch millionaire so I can afford all that shit. And maybe, you know, have like a life. But anyway, those are technically my goals. I understand they are unrealistic. In fact, I sit here as a big man baby playing with a money gun. Although technically being a giant man baby has earned Twitch streamers millions of dollars. I don't know what the disconnect is. I'm going to keep hoping because someone needs to. I sure do hope it gets easier to treat diabetes. Lord knows we'll need that as food security becomes more common. Food insecurity, yeah. You know, we're 5 years away from a cure. Yeah, okay. I keep hearing that over and over again. 5 years away from a cure. Meanwhile, I'm like, this is me towards the medical appliance companies. I gotta pick all that shit up. It's all over the floor. Hold on. I'm gonna get this stuff. All these dollar bills. This is a comedy gold mine right here. I don't know why more streamers don't have something like this, but I'm gonna automate this. It'll be able to probably not blow its whole load at one donation, but if I can make it partially blow its load for donations, it'll be very funny. The only thing that I really desire from this is shorter bursts, because you can't see how that it just goes crazy. Yeah, these bills need to be ironed. Jesus. It launches them so hard, mostly because I've got it overvolted right now. It looks like the front could, well, it's supposed to only serve one bill, but it needs like more of a feed from the flat stack. See how it's like... This needs to like taper down a little bit more. Yeah, if it had like a belt, that could possibly do better. Put pink IOU slips in. Yeah, maybe. A cure will make them lose trillions. The unfortunate bit about it is that there was a glucometer called the Dream Machine, and the rumor is it was something that was tested at Children's Hospital of Philadelphia, so I was part of like their data gathering for that. I went in and had my glucose level taken a couple times, and they used their quote-unquote Dream Machine. It probably wasn't great science. There was probably a lot of like issues with the actual design, but supposedly, because this was an optical glucose monitor and would potentially destroy the need for finger sticks, because at the time it was about 60 cents a strip and you did 4 a day, 4 glucose levels a day, more if you needed more information to treat your glucose level, right? So 60 cents a finger stick a day, and apparently rumor was that someone had broken into the wherever they were storing all of their data and like deleted it or something. There was like corporate espionage, which I think is more of a conspiracy theory than anything else. TPU belt build for the money gun? I've got O-ring sets. I could just use that. Yeah, the O-ring would grip it so much better. We're just having fun with the money gun for the rest of the day here, guys. The finger sander was unfortunately a bit of a bust because I need either a pin adapter, which I bought for way too much money. Cheap tools will cost you more than anything, won't they? But anyway, I need to just be more careful when I order wacky tools for stuff. Oh, that's just a conspiracy theory. Yeah, I hope thoughts of corporate espionage and technology stifling, and because like, you know, the guys that the common Reddit comment for those guys that figured out a way to like specifically target types of cancer using DNA, they were like, those two had better stay alive. And it's like, dude, come on. I don't think we quite live in a world where corporate assassins are running around. Maybe like in the 80s that was a thing. More like in 80s movies that was a thing. It needs to just let the bill fall in the work area. I will adjust voltage for that if we do the simplest way. If I do a more complicated way, I mean, I could have a system where we have just a simple DC motor. You know, seeing this inspires me to make it better, and then we end up in a multi-week project. Whereas putting an ESP8266 inside of one of the big chambers of this thing, cutting off the handle, putting a mount for a tripod it's so much easier. We don't have to sit here for 10,000 years engineering this thing and putting it into CAD. I think maybe just lowering the voltage will solve some of these issues. I can't believe that this like gear wheel is enough to really huck the dollar bills out. But man, whatever I paid for this thing, it was too much. There's like nothing here. Mostly the mechanicals of having the chamber, but then again, like now I want to reverse engineer it so I can throw like $2 out instead of 2,000 every single time. But again, this is where my stream deviates from Uo's lab. If any, there's probably like 1 or 2 people here of the 400 to 500 that watch Uo's lab that have found their way over to my stream because our content is so related. I would hope. The difference between myself and Uo's lab, and it's something that I'm trying to work on, is that I really get into these projects and we really get deep into them. You know, like the modular synthesizer over there, the modular synthesizer sitting below that keyboard, I've been working on that for years. And it's because every single module in that thing ends up being a full goddamn meal. We got to get in there and make sure all the solder joints are right. And then I got to test it and then I got to tune it because it's a musical instrument. And I have still not been able to sit down and just make like a synthesizer with it. I got close. I tried to one time and it would just go woo. And I didn't really have any effects for the output. So I need to start looking at like special effects and stuff for the outputs. It just becomes so much project, whereas I should just be able to bang things together and make something really fun and interesting. So Money Gun is part of my effort to kind of solve that and get back to some of the more inane, silly ideas of things that I can do on stream. So the concept is, if we had it sitting, never point a firearm at yourself, chat. Just don't do it. You should be willing to destroy anything that's in the path of the barrel. How did O'Bother die? I choked on $1 bill or 4. There is $1 in my collar. I'm not just happy to see you. You fear safety from a lot of paper cuts. Dollar bills are made out of denim. These are made out of denim. I probably am gonna have to like get an iron, like a clothing iron, and like really iron these things out. This has to be your Twitch intro video. Hi, I'm O'Bother and blah, 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 blah. I make interactive things on Twitch. That was meant to be the main premise of this channel, was to make stuff that chat can interact with. And we've done a lot in that sense. By the way, the BMW chair, the F40 seat that I have, and the entire steering rig will also be, where's what am I looking for? This thing will also be chat interactable when I do take it to its full fruition. Since we are reverse engineering the computer that runs the chair, in BMWs, your chair has a computer dedicated to it. And by computer, I mean microcontroller, but it speaks CAN bus and it speaks K bus. We're gonna have to reverse engineer the K bus using that. K bus is like a low priority, less expensive to implement bus system so that you can have digital communications in your car for the low priority stuff like buttons to adjust your chair. Like buttons to adjust your chair is not like wheel speed sensors, right? Those are on totally different priorities. So you put them on 2 different systems. I got to go crawl around on the floor picking up dollar bills. This is something that me and certain people share, is having to crawl around on the floor and pick up a bunch of dollar bills. Anyway, so you have this low priority bus in the computer in your chair. Of course, the device, your computer in the chair, can also set off the airbag. So it needs to speak that main CAN bus. The chair has its own side impact airbag. I'm buying the computer for this chair because the buttons speak what is called K-bus. And so we won't really be able to know. I mean, I could probably look it up, probably find it, because BMWs are popular enough to work on. But it's better if we just hook up the scope and figure out what those signals are. If the computer decides that it doesn't want to work when it doesn't get CAN bus messages, then we will reverse engineer K-bus, and I will put my own microcontroller in charge of all of the little whistles and bells that the original microcontroller operates. Doing that will allow me to make my chair, my car seat in my sim rig, into an Internet of Things thing. It can speak MQTT. I have a Mosquito MQTT broker that works on my TrueNAS file server. It keeps this light turning on and off and stuff through Node-RED. And through Node-RED, we have all the Twitch interactivity layer. So if I make my chair into a node, chat can do funny things with it while I'm driving a car. So, don't worry, I got the clip of you getting dollared. I am a dollard. This thing is amazing. I love this. More streamers should have one of these. Maybe I should professionally modify them and give them to a bunch of streamers. What I would have to do is use the code from the Fartbox, the old Fartbox code. Did I save over that code or did I make a new version? I think I made a new version. I don't use GitHub. I don't know how to use GitHub. I don't know how that stuff works. And GitHub is beyond me. I am a Neanderthal when it comes to like coding this stuff, right? Like we work in Arduino and I use folders. And if people ask me on the Discord, I'll share code with them. I have a GitHub. It's under my same moniker. It's obother with the underscore. I will, at one point, I'll dump more files in there because we have a couple software projects that I've done, including the dog collar, that need to get updated on there. Just so that in case anybody wants to, stand on the shoulders of me, I assure you I cannot support your weight. But if you want to stand on my shoulders and, improve something that I've done, I want to have it available and out there. But like, if I go to the old code for the Fartbox and I make one of these, mountable dollar donation driven machines, it would be funny to put in the hands of other streamers. Like if Djibouti was doing like their St. Jude charity, which I think is a decently righteous cause, right? Then I could give them the ability to have dollar bills farted all over them. Yeah, I updated all my software on Grubhub. That motor screaming is scary to me. We had a misfire. Oh, it's because the first dollar that goes down is like folding in on itself. Oh, that actually snaps open. Oh, that's convenient. I need a better hopper for this thing. A way to peel the first dollar off of the next one. And I think what it's relying on is just the fact that that will advance $1, right? If you do it fast enough, the inertia or the static friction of the dollar above it doesn't get caught up in the mix. And I think it's also throwing out multiples and just doesn't care. It just doesn't care because you bought this dollar store dollar gun. This is like $14. It needs a magazine, yeah. I gotta load the dollars individually like they're 9mm bullets. Has like a sprung magazine. Well, actually it kind of does. I mean, it is pinching down that first dollar. No, I'm calm, I'm collected, and I'm not expecting this, even though I'm the one that's pulling the trigger. If somebody donates like $50, I think I would be able to do that to myself. But it'll be coming from a higher angle, so if somebody donates, it'll kind of look like the monitor's spitting the money out. That makes me laugh every time. It's good with real money. If it was just, the dollary dues that, the fake ones that they sent the thing with, I don't think it would be as funny. Whoa. The only problem with this thing is that I have to play 52 pickup after it blows its wad on me, which is kind of annoying. Cleanup is always a chore. What's the machine in the background that says danger on it? It's a Sieg X3 mill/drill press, and it actually has a story. Is my butt on camera? Almost. There's a story behind that Sieg X3. The reason that I have it, usually in electronic shops, you'd see just a drill press. You'd have just a drill press, because a drill press will do everything you need to do in the electronics realm. All right. But I was getting a little bit into milling. I was looking at like D&D dice, because that was back when D&D kind of exploded. It had its second renaissance thanks to Critical Role and Stranger Things and all that. That was about that time. And Reddit at the time, Reddit, as I out myself as a filthy Redditor, had this thing called the Millionaire Makers Contest, and it was an offshoot of the shower thoughts subreddit, which is an amazing source of stupid stuff, right? But one of the people on there said, hey, there's like millions of us on shower thoughts, so if we all donated $1 to somebody, we all donate $1 to a user, we could make them a millionaire. So they decided to get it all together and use some blockchain style stuff in order to make a fair selection of people who left just a comment. They didn't have to promise to donate. They didn't have to do anything. Just leave one comment on a thread in order to enter the contest. And so, you know, bots were not as easily prevalent back then, though they did still exist. There were probably still lots of bots in the thread. What they did is they would choose this person in the middle of the night, and they would look at their account and see if they were an actual person. And so I ended up winning the Millionaire Makers Contest. I don't know, it was one of the first like 10. And so at 4 o'clock in the morning, I got a message. I'm at my computer. They're still building this room because this used to be like a workout room in the basement. And so they rebuilt this room with like insulation and slightly more space. It was right before it became my shop. I was sitting in the space that's behind this space at my desk at 4 o'clock in the morning, you know, one eye open. And I get word that I need to make my own PayPal account and, you know, all this other stuff in order to accept what could potentially be thousands of donations. And so that was a whirlwind. I had quite a day of it the next day. This is way before we even had a dog. And I ended up, because I am a milquetoast guy who's not even paying rent, I live with people and I'm quote unquote trying to start my own business. This is before I started streaming. I actually moved into the space a little bit before I started streaming. So I was like, sort of trying to do my own thing and figure out what, you know, like a business and get going, like maybe doing consulting work. Well, that kind of dried up pretty quickly, but I did do a couple consulting jobs for people. I built a controller for Jack and Rich of Red Letter Media. They were doing their Project Hornet. That's why I kept O'Bother. But anyway, so I win the Millionaire Makers Contest. It's like, holy shit, all these people are going to be donating. My story was not that compelling. I should have told them I'm a type 1 diabetic who just wants to afford insulin. I probably would have gotten more donations that way. I was honest, and I got about $1,500. That costs about $1,500, pre all the modifications that I've done to it since then. I added like a DRO and stuff to make it a little bit more functional. Nowadays, $1,500 would go a little further than getting you this, but the cost of freighting it over here and all that stuff. So I got a mill/drill press out of the Millionaire Makers Contest. So I've got a Reddit sticker on the side to commemorate it. And then this is when AVE was not outed as kind of a crazy person that I don't really want to support. Not to say anything negative. He had a sticker that I really like, and it was danger not to be operated by fuckwits. And so I cover over fuckwits a little bit with a sticker, actually a magnet from my old FBI unit, which was which one is this one? Where's that? Hold on. Old FBI unit sticker. Yeah, it's not even close to 1 million. It is getting closer to 1 million because I had 0.9 Bitcoin back in 2016, I think. It was 0.9 of a Bitcoin, but because around the time that this happened was around the time that Reddit had its giant leak. Oh, this is not my unit. Machining and prototyping unit for the FBI. These are the guys that I worked with a lot. But Reddit had that huge leak of user credentials, and I didn't realize that I had connected one of my only Bitcoin account to Reddit in case somebody donated Bitcoin to me. Because prior to this, like a year or two prior to this, there was all of that Bitcoin donation stuff where people would be like, you know, I tip my fedora, fair sir, and they would give you like 0.2 of a Bitcoin, right? Back when 0.2 of a Bitcoin wasn't $20,000. It was like, ha ha, he, fake money. Let's trade it all around. And I was hoping that I could get some Bitcoin out of that. And I never did. I got some Doge out of that, I think. But I never really did until the Millionaire Makers contest. And then I got almost 1 Bitcoin. And that was 15 years ago, right? So I had been sitting on it for quite some time, but shortly after the Millionaire Makers contest put my name out there, someone in like, I think it was like Bangalore, I forget, it told me what the address was. It was, I believe, somewhere in the Middle East. I think it might have been in India. I don't know, but they took almost all of it. I managed to turn on two-factor authentication. I have 0.1 Bitcoin, and I don't know where it is because I don't know if the exchange still exists. I have 0.1 Bitcoin and all the credentials for it. So, and there's no way of getting it back. It's been moved around quite a bit. So much for that. That would have been worth more than I got on the Millionaire Makers contest, and probably, I don't even know what it's up to right now. It's like ludicrous. So I'm still holding on to that little tiny bit that I have, because if I withdraw it, then it becomes real and it works against my health care. Oops. Yeah, fun stuff. I don't know how that works. Like if I inherit like a lump sum of money and then the next year I don't make any money again, am I back onto the plan? I don't know. These are things that keep me up at night. That would actually be good as a small donation. Just, oh, it's stuck. There's a fold in one of the bills. Because, yeah, it's supposed to be if you make under a certain amount of money, then you're eligible for healthcare. But I think you also had to do the criteria of, like, I had to pay out my Cobra, which I was looking to buy a house for myself. And I was going to, you know, do all that stuff. I started to save up money for a house and I was going to jump in on that. And then I got fired and then I had to pay for Cobra, which then bankrupted me, which is, just love it. You got to love it. Anyway, the whole point was I kept job hunting and not finding anything. And so I decided to start streaming and just see how things went, doing some of the crazy projects that I was doing anyway. So this keeps happening here. I got a fold in the bill and it's keeping it from firing it. So I really kind of need to either get a bunch of new dollar bills or, well, I mean, fixing the feed would be also a way to, if this thing fed a little bit more of like a taper, but I guess they're relying on the friction between bills. I wonder if they have advice on how to use this thing. I just loaded up a bunch of money into this thing and just decided to just have at it. That's actually that's a good view too. I love picking up stuff off of my floor. Ah! Jeez. That one landed on my shoulder. It's like a parrot. Money gun. Money plane. The amount of fun of shooting the money pales in comparison to the amount of annoyance of picking it up. If this were Dubai and they were very large denominator bills, maybe I would be happier to roll around and pick it all up. I'm going to be finding dollar bills in my parts bins, which is great because getting $1 out of nowhere is always fun. I don't care how devalued the currency is. Finding $1 that you didn't know was there before is always fun. You don't have to return those bills, do you? Maybe. Maybe eventually. If times get rough and I need $40, I will bring my money gun to the bank. Could you imagine how fucking awful that would be as like a streamer? If I was like, yeah, I'd like to make a deposit. Of course, pulling something out of the bank that looks a little bit like a gun is probably not advisable, but then bukkakeing a bunch of low denomination bills all over the fucking teller and going, yeah, just put that in my account. and then you put your credit card in this thing and fire it at their face. Better yet, if the batteries were in some kind of a cartridge, so you could sit there and go, yeah, you can have my money. And then you load something up, and just as much fun with dollar coins when you throw the bucket at them. This is, I think, how I'm going to pay parking tickets in the future. This part sucks. This is the part of the thing that sucks. It's like this one's causing problems. Unfold the wrinkles in your brain with me, chat. I mean, if you had a thing that spits out $1 coins like this were, was that Cowboy Bebop? Was that the Cowboy Bebop movie? Or is that Ghost in the Shell? I think that was one of the standalone Complex movies. Or was it Bebop where the thumb... No, it was original Ghost in the Shell. They had like a currency cannon as an arm. Very cyberpunk. And they shot coins as ammo, which seems like a lot to go through, but I guess it was sending a message. Oh, it's Hamtaro, that's right. Yeah, those hamsters are bastards, aren't they? Absolute. I put this one aside because it was ripped down here and I was afraid that it was going to cause problems, but then I put it aside and then I covered my desk in dollar bills, and I did not know that the dollar bill that was sitting aside was not involved. That one goes aside because it's like ripped, it's going to explode. You got to fix all the little ends of these things because that's what gets fouled up in the mechanism. I have a feeling it's spitting out multiple dollar bills at once, which probably contributes to the sort of, you know, fluttery rain of dollar bills, because it'll send like 4 out at a time, and those 4 will spread out and then you know, do that on their way down, which is why having it a little bit more vertical is actually more funny. I'm going to try shooting this from up in the desk. This needs to be sort of... I remember all these tricks now. This is the stuff that you used to do at the soda machine. Laminate the bills. Well, then they wouldn't look like dollar bills. They would look like laminated dollar bills. This would look terrible. These are all the tricks back when the sensors in the soda machines were all terrible. I tried for many years to get that rip in the bill at just the right location. I think that was a fake story, though. I don't think that's really a way to fool the machine. Or if it is, it was in the 70s that it worked, not when I was messing around. You kind of got to fold it against the crease just a little bit, and then it'll balance out. Okay, that's pretty good. Hopefully that one won't cause problems. The older they are, the more worn they are, the more flexible they are, and then it ends up working against itself, and it'll get fouled up in the mechanism. Collector's items, dollar bills, laminated and graded. Yeah, let me throw a bunch of graded dollar bills at my face. A bunch of plexiglass containers smashing me in the jaw. I think this idea has legs. I think after testing this thing a little bit, we've got it's already just rife with comedy. It's ripe with comedy, right? This thing is just plump with comedic value. I don't know. I have not counted how many dollar bills here. I don't really want to. I want to see what it's like coming from the top deck. If I put it, because there's a little gap in the monitors right now, just because I've been neglectful of my setup. And so, you know, monitors kind of wander around on these arms. And so I could potentially fit this thing like here. What would that look like on camera? Somehow I've got to contort my thumb. Try it this way. Ah. You know what? Okay, never mind. I was going to hook it up to the power supply, and then I would just have to turn on the power supply to shoot it, but just add a counter. How? How would you add a counter to this thing? How is it supposed to know that two of them are shooting out at the same time? This is not exactly a precision machine gap in the front here. This thing is designed to just bukkake dollar bills out and have them flutter down to earth. That's the whole comedy behind it. Because I've been thinking about the same thing. It's like, how would I time this in order to have it do a small amount of bills? And it's probably going to be like, either it uses up a lot of the magazine, half of the magazine, or all of the magazine. I don't think I'll have any other like control of it because it gets stuck so much too. Loading it with a fresh pack of Pokemon cards. If I use the ones that they provided, the fake dollar bills, those are all going to be completely flat. So, what else would you describe it as? I don't want to know. Don't answer that question. It can only go in a place that has no light, where God's light does not shine. Ah! See, look at that. 3. That's 3 coming out of the thing. So this thing just shoots multiples. There's no control. Lasers, thickness checkers. Look, all of the methods of sorting and routing dollar bills through a machine are probably known well at this point, and we could probably come up with something that would meter them out. But at a certain point, you got to ask yourself, how much effort am I putting into this? And how funny is it if it just throws a bunch at once on a timer? Okay, so basically, Blobbity Blah donates $50. That is too fucking good. That's too good. That'll put all of it into it. So there may be a big threshold that you guys are not going to like. Maybe we'll start it off with a small threshold and I'll move it up because the cost of me running around and reloading this thing is quite a bit. Funny though it may be, this type of distraction where I gotta bend over and you guys are all looking at my butt. My butt has to be limited. Yeah, okay. I am going to be finding dollar bills for quite some time. Know how much it is, and when it's empty, you know how much you threw out. That's about the amount, that's sort of the level of grading that we're going to have over this. Oh, bother booty, we need dollar bills. Oh, God. What have I become? What have I become? Oops. On that part, you got to make it drop a net first so you can pick them all up. Put little strings on all the dollar bills. How did this one get back into circulation? This thing keeps sneaking into the fray. Oh, my God. I've lost control. I've lost control of my stream. I wonder how many dollar bills I've lost. Because they'll get in and around stuff. I don't see any down there. Luckily, dollar bills of a size that you can pretty easily find. Need to find an old vending machine and take the bill feeder for this. I wanted to do that for a synthesizer, for a modular synthesizer module. Because, I mean, I've worked with coin slots before. I haven't worked with dollar bill slots. But what you could do is it would be the money module, and you would feed a dollar bill, you would feed a bill of any delineation into it, and then it would use the printing or whatever sensors it has. Whatever sensors it has. I think some of them are actually like a camera system nowadays. So you would want to feed that somehow into whatever that module outputs. Probably filtration would be the best thing. So if you want to have this big effect suddenly happen on your modular synthesizer, you feed a dollar bill in, and as long as this thing is hooked up to your filter, it'll be like, wow, 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 like do some cool stuff, and you can clip the clip like it's keeping your money. Who is Phil Track? You gotta tell me, I don't know. Flammable and inflammable are the same thing. Will these ignite off of someone iron? Off of a someone iron? If it's soldering iron, no. It might scorch it a little bit, but I don't think they'll scorch. Irregardless, flammable and inflammable. I still use irregardless ironically, but I have to be careful, or one day I will not. Oh, filtration. That guy's a really weird fella. Locked and loaded. I do wish that I could get this thing to clip in a little better, but I really don't want to use AA batteries in this. We're actually overvolting it a little bit. I've got 4.78 volts going into this thing, which for some reason my power supply is out of calibration. Now I'm gonna have to get to the bottom of that at some point. That's really disturbing to me that this thing could be at 4.78 volts and not hold 5. Because I don't have anything hooked up to it right now. The switch is open. But anyway, so for comedic effect, the money gun it's perfect. It's everything I could have ever hoped for. If I was like Sark and I basically just had a desk with equipment on it and then VR space behind me, something like this would be endless comedy, because he's got all of these different alerts and stuff that he sets up. He's got a specific ones for horror games and, you know, for all kinds of other stuff like that. And he's got a very active chat that donates a lot. Well, I don't know about donations, but they do sub a lot. But if you had something like that hooked up to a larger monetary donation, his face cam is set up in such a way, you know, you hit yourself with the money bukkake and it doesn't actually totally interfere with everything, and you're not putting metal chips into your money, which is what we've been doing, because there are still aluminum chips down there from last stream. There's a lot of aluminum chips. I did a lot of sweeping over the weekend. But like, you know, if you've got blank floor space behind you, having this thing hit you in the face with a bunch of dollar bills, not bad. And dollar bills are soft. They're not like paper. I'm not going to get a bunch of paper cuts from this. If I can like put it at head level. You have I don't think you mean you have a dollar bill in your teeth, right? What have you been up to? What have I been up to? It's always unexpected. Yeah. I don't know where these dollar bills have been. I think the last occupation of these dollar bills was probably close to some rich person's ass and or someone's pocketbook. Yeah, I know you meant aluminum chips, but the other one was funnier. It's like, this is like RC cars in the 90s. You get 4 minutes of runtime, and then it takes 2.5 hours to recharge. I had some cool RC cars in the 90s. As a little kid, when we were getting our pool put in to the property, we had this giant, like, kind of like a half pipe. It was like a half dome when the pool was getting ready to be filled. And so at that time, I had the Traxxas treaded RC car, and we were able to use that thing like a half pipe and do all these cool jumps. My brother had sort of an off-road truck that we modified with skis for the 90s giant ice storm on the Northeast. And so we had this like ski vehicle that we were riding around. Nowadays, of course, you can just get treaded vehicles all day, every day. You can get exactly the car you want in RC and mess around with that. I mean, we've been guilty of doing exactly that. The little man baby 12-year-old in me never dies. And so I wanted to do something really cool with RC cars, because cars are cool and I can't work on cars right now. So, because I don't have space for a car. My brother was like, just build the car in the basement. I'm like, I don't want to become another one of the stories where they have to get the excavator and like blow out one of the basement walls in order to get the car out. Fun as that would be, it sounds like a very expensive way to get your project car out of the basement. See, this will get caught because there's a big edge on that one. This one might not get caught if the edges go down. So like this might be the key. But it happens so quickly, and I'm sure there are so many comparisons that I can make here, and I just don't want to. I don't want to just keep comparing this thing to penises, but kind of that's where we are. There's nothing else that I can say. Yeah, having an automated one of these on a tripod, that'd be pretty cool. I think that would work pretty well for some streamers. It all comes back to genitalia. Yeah, all genitalia comes, I mean, back, it comes back to sorry, I got that wrong. Probably should be careful around that quote. Yeah, I can kind of perch it here, and then it's a little bit off camera, and I can kind of get my thumb onto the trigger. So like, that split-second burst did that. This thing is really just meant to go through the whole wad, which means it's probably going to have to be prohibitively expensive. I've gotten $50 donations before. I've gotten some pretty big donations before because, you know, some people just have budget who like this kind of stuff that I do. And they're like, here, buy the thing that you just broke, right? I had $100 donated by actually a friend of mine because we were working with the wireless wheel module for the Granite Devices force feedback controller. And I broke one on camera, and those things were like $75. And I was like, oh, god damn. We were like 95% of the way through reverse engineering it, and I probably could have made it through the finish line with a little bit more effort, but they decided to just give me the money to buy another one. They were like, here, just buy another one. I'm like, thank you. Like, it's weird, but that could have triggered, that would be the sort of thing that could trigger, you know, the oh my god, big donation. I hear them flapping all the money, and I hear it flapping like way over there. Ugh. And if I'm like building something when that happens, I mean, I will have it flip to the face cam because it'll be a face cam shot, right? Flip to the face cam, set the thing off. Even if I'm not here, that means money will be flying out in this direction. And it'll like flap around and do weird stuff. So that'll still be very funny looking. And then I'll get back here and what's going on? What are you guys doing? So there's a lot of really good stuff that we can do with this. This is perfect. So next stream, Thursday. If I still am waiting for parts, which I probably will be because FedEx is messed up by the snowstorm that we had. If we're still waiting for parts, then we will do more money gun, and we'll get the gun part of the money gun off. We'll get an ESP8266 configured and printed and or whatever, programmed and all that. And I can potentially hack a plate onto the bottom of that where we've cut stuff off and then put a tripod mount. Yeah. On the money gun. And then I can try, I think I've got an extra, well, I've got some magic arms that are sitting up on this shelf over there that I might be able to put it on and then aim it, and potentially we could do a donation-based money shot. God. Is that going to get old? No, it's not going to get old. I'm going to be saying that until I'm dead. Money, money, edit everywhere, not a drop to drink. Jeez. Okay, that's enough with the money gun. Paper cuts kill. Not paper. Not paper. It's denim. They use old jeans to make money. So it's soft. Or is it hemp? I thought it was denim. Similar to denim, maybe. But yeah, you're not really going to get a paper cut from money. As arterial spray shoots out of my finger. These are fine. The only thing that I got to worry about is that the little edges of it are completely straight. It's like, this is like using one of the bill slots in an old vending machine. Used to be hemp. Long time ago, I watched a documentary about this, and I don't remember all the details, but one of the things was that it's like denim that they process. Little spider. What? spider denim? There's a spider on screen. Is it just my hair? The camera kind of finds itself to weird spots. This is ridiculous. I'm gonna have to do this after every single time this thing goes off. Oh, and the dollar design. We could look for security features, like that some of these lines are actually text. Those do not look like text though. They're probably not. They probably don't go for that on the dollar bill. Have to look like $20 bill. Currently cotton and linen. So denim. Yeah, I thought it was like old jeans, but you know what? I will not die on that hill. I'm not looking to die on any hills today, chat. You used to be able to look at this real close and there was actually writing as these lines, but this looks a bit cheaper printed because it's just $1. 2017. Huh, okay, anyway. I used to work at the building, the Federal Bank. I guess that's not where they're printing money, but the Federal Bank of Philadelphia. I used to work in that building. An architectural firm was on one of the floors, and I did a co-op job with them. Top right. Top right. That would be here. Top right. This guy. I don't see it. The little blue. The little blue. Steven. Yeah. Well, no, that's what I was saying. You gotta have the batteries in like a magazine, so that when you show up to pay your parking ticket, you pull this thing out of your pocket and you do this action that looks like you're loading in a magazine. Is that the spider? Behind the one? Oh, you mean like you feed like another hopper on? You can do all kinds of things like that, but in the end, the total cost of this product was probably like $1. Is it on the other side? There's a lot of shit going on here on the other side. There's like spider webs on it, yeah. Like a spider web pattern, weird. Somebody went crazy with their Etch-a-Sketch. Not Etch-a-Sketch, what was this one called? The one with the gear. And you put your pen in the gear and then you follow it around the form. What was that one called? Spirograph, there we go. Yeah, someone went crazy with it. Hey man, the dollar bill design's due and we haven't really worked on anything. Oh, hold on, let me get my spirograph. And they went down. Fun memories of those. I've seen them show up on Reddit every now and then. People think they're like hot new shit. Check out this satisfying pattern. And then, of course, because it's a spirograph, it takes like 10 minutes to get to the end pattern. And so it's perfect for this sort of like TikTok attention span economy sort of content where you have to watch the entire thing and it's like 10 minutes long. And then at the very end, you see the end result for one frame and then it repeats. And you're like, why did I do that? I've started to get really fed up with that stuff. So I've jumped back and I just jumped to the end of the video. Like, okay, I'm sure they do a lot of stuff for a while and it completely wastes my whole day. So the results of our testing, by the way, this is very listen, this is very scientific. We are engineers. The only thing we're missing right now is a clipboard, which sort of outs us as playing instead of engineering. I keep trying to load it this way and it just doesn't work. I think loading it from the side is the best way to do it. But anyway, the difference between engineering and playing around and fucking around is a clipboard. If we write down the findings, or if I go over the findings with you, then We're engineers. Then we're engineers. So the findings of our fucking around is that this thing is very funny. It can work with timing. We can do it by time, but it's going to end up having a stack sticking out of it, if that's the case. That'll still work, and it'll make for a more varied second shot, so to speak, and maybe there'll be a little refractory period afterwards. But it's more funny if this thing blows the whole wad. And if it blows the whole wad, there's enough behind the dollar bills that they hit against my face and just coat everything, right? And it's funnier that way. So the end result is that what I want to do is I want to put the tripod on it, or the magnet mount, because I've got a steel lip at the back of the desk so that things don't fall over into oblivion. So if I mount it to that, then I can put it between these two monitors right here. And if somebody donates $50, then blow the whole load, right? Just go until it's done. And then I have to play 52 pickup and all that stuff. But it's funnier if it does the whole stack, because it's way more distracting and destructive. That means I will get probably less money out of it because it'll be more seldomly selected. So at first, maybe we will experiment with some of the, like, do half of the hopper. So do it for about approximately half hopper time. And maybe, because it's all going to be timing based, so it might be 75% one time and half of it another, and it'll jam the third. But we can do smaller donations with that, and then we'll just see how that goes. And then I'll have an embarrassing amount of money in my bank account, but you guys will have gotten some comedy out of it. So... Maybe I should have done this before I did the sim racer thing, but I'm going to go ahead and order from McMaster Car for the sim racer. That is definitely the way to load in. You got to load in from the side, otherwise the bottom ones will like fold in on themselves. If you do it from the side, then they settle at the very bottom of the money gun. Money plane. It would be funnier if it was like from lower, but the room that I have for it puts it up high. And then the other one is with my arms sticking all the way into this thing. I gotta hold that. Oh, I don't have enough room to do it. I was going to try to go from behind the face cam and see what that would look like. I can go from there, but that's not quite right. Unless I just get AA batteries. Let's see if I get AA batteries. I don't want to put AA batteries in this thing. It was funnier when it was hooked up to the power supply. All right, let's see. AA batteries in here. Of course, one 18650 would do it, but which I have. 3 AAA batteries, and then maybe I can put them back in the battery tray and I won't notice that they're... Oh, AAAs don't reach. Okay. I don't have AA's. I just don't have AA's. I have all these lithium batteries. Nothing AA. I could severely overvolt this thing, blow the motor, but it would be very funny for a split second. Actually, it might just rip the money. I don't have any AA's down here. Ugh. I only use certain kinds of batteries, right? I don't like battery-operated stuff because then I've got a bunch of lithium-ion batteries sitting in my shop, which is primarily made out of wood. I know, you never have the right kind of battery when you need it. Back in the Xbox days, I would be completely inundated with AA batteries because for some reason, nobody was trusting lithium-ion batteries and controllers. We did, early on in this stream, I took apart controllers. Maybe I should go back to that because, no, I don't want to buy modern controllers. They're too expensive. But we took apart a bunch of like gaming hardware, and man, the Switch Pro controller is one of the best engineered ones out of the whole pack. The only thing it's missing is analogs. I would use that controller to this day if it had analog triggers. Wood ion batteries. Then suddenly I have fire. Look at all this fire. And I've got more fire. The fire's making more fire. I'm going to be a millionaire. So I can't quite get this to the camera, but I wanted to see what it would look like with money shooting from basically like down here, just straight at me. But I don't think I'm going to be able to do that. I can put it at a bit of an angle to do that. Yeah, I can hold it like there. and maybe we can get a simulated version of what that's like. But then the dollar bills won't be as big because it would be like huge dollar bills coming out at me. I think that would the sense of scale would be there for that. But if I can hold it as far as the leads will allow at an upward angle, that's still going to look like it's coming from the specific spot and not, you know, the whole camera is dwarfed by the dollar bills flying out. Still, we'll give it a shot. I think it specifically needs to be pointed at my face. It needs to be face height because a lot of those didn't make it high enough to actually give you the effect. If I were willing to suffer it being attached to this, that would be the best place to have it because this is what the desk looks like after doing that. So it'd be a lot funnier to have it shooting to the desk and it would just completely disrupt whatever I was working on. All right, those are a couple good camera tests. What time are we running? Oh yeah, it's closing time. At least, well, this is early closing time. I try to go a little longer than this, but I think we're good because I don't want to draw out content just to be online more, even though I do need to be online more. If I'm done a project, I'm done a project. I'm not gonna draw it out for you guys. But next time, what we'll do if I don't get a bunch of car parts in the mail, we will de-gun the money gun and we'll put a plastic plate on that, tripod mount, put an ESP in there. That won't take very long, he says, knowing that it'll take all stream because I explain myself as I go. But once we do all that, then we will basically have the chat controlled money gun. I'll just need to either, well, usually the way it goes is that I will talk about needing to see the packet of somebody donating money and I'll have it activated in Node-RED. And if enough people are watching, somebody will inevitably donate money. It'll cost chat $1 for us to get that initial signal. And then I can make Node-RED filter it out and send it to the right flow to bukkake my face with money. This works for me because I'm about to go to bed. Thanks so much for the fun. Hey, I'm glad you had fun. I'm glad you had fun, and I hope you keep it going. I'm going to keep going. So here's, oh, did I do the end card? I did the end card. Here's the end card. Do not worry about Blue Sky because I got kicked off Blue Sky because my account got hacked. I think they didn't have two-factor authentication, and so my account got hacked, and it started to advertise like pornos and stuff. And so, unfortunately, that got flagged, even though it's perfectly legitimate stuff that I would do on, no, I don't do that on Twitch, or on Blue Sky. I don't do that kind of stuff, but it sent like scam stuff. Yeah, you know, all those pornos. The problem is my Blue Sky was connected to this big group of makers because we all moved over from Twitter because Twitter's fuck. So we moved over from it after, you know, jump in with all the furries and stuff. It was great. But we all moved over. And so we had a one-stop click where you'd click and you'd subscribe to all of these makers. And I was on that list. So I got tons of followers that were totally relevant to my content. And then my account got hacked and shut down. And I've emailed them about recovery and I have not gotten anything back. Reddit got back to me after a year and I was able to recover my account. Possibly because whoever stole my account tried to do a password recovery and the email went to me, which was very lucky. Now I've got that behind like 17,000 VPNs, but the Blue Sky account is still dead. Yeah, it took an entire like 1 year. It was like almost exactly 1 year for Reddit to get back to me. And I recovered my account, but I actually got used to using Reddit without an account and it's fine. I don't need to comment to anybody. You know, I don't need to interact with the internet on that level. So anyway, you know, read a book. A beautiful anniversary. My account is like 12 or 13 years old. So, because I used to get bored. I had a government job. I used to get bored. Anyway, end card, you guys saw it. It's got the Discord link on it. Discord is where you find me. It's like my only social media, even though Discord is like compartmentalized social media. But we've got a pretty big Discord going. We got some regular people posting who, for some reason, don't ever open my stream anymore. And we've just got like, you know, a good group of people in there. So if you feel like chatting in between streams, check out Discord. That's what I got going for me. In terms of like rating somebody, I don't do it often and I wish I did, but you have to like stick around for a minute or two after a raid, and I just sometimes can't stomach that. Sid Heresy is doing repair, soldering, and builds. If you guys have anywhere to go, go to Sid Heresy. That's suggested collabs. What the fuck? This is a new feature. Oh, some Russian hardware hacker. Okay, that might be Polish. Don't understand the language there. Sid Heresy is the only English that it says I should collab with. Polarin is actually doing software, and then everybody else is playing Vintage Story on my list. Oh my god. I guess Rabaz is playing Fallout New Vegas. Go check them out. All right, yeah, no, I'm just going to do recommendations, and I'm going to, you know, go on with my life. Sid has smooth soldering skills. I think I've spoken a couple times to Sid Heresy, I'm pretty sure. But yeah, check them out if you can. And I'm going to get out of here. If you want to follow, whatever. You guys know where you're going, right? So I'm going to head out. I gotta go touch grass with the puppy dog before the sun goes down. She's played a lot today, and she was really quiet during stream because we took a long walk before streaming. I was like, I'm going to get you tired. But she was still doing zoomies when we got back inside. I don't, you know, that's a surefire sign that she's not a happy dog, you know? Anyway, I'm going to go take her out. If you want to see pictures of Willow, check out the Discord. I'm posting so much there that people ignore them now. They've gotten too used to it, and I still think my dog is the cutest dog on the whole fucking planet. So I will continue to post pictures of Willow on that Discord. And yeah, I'll see you guys Thursday, and in the meantime, I'll keep people updated about parts if I get anything. Don't do the finger gun thing, bother. Don't, no, it's time to stop. I'll catch you guys later.